What's going on, man?
One.
We are here on a Friday. My man Coop in the building, man. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm great, man. Another episode of A2HH Live, man. I've been reading some of the comments in some of the previous episodes that we've done.
hmm
Most notably, it's good to see people sticking up for LL Cool J. I love it.
No, I love it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying. Like I said, we weren't trying to knock L. It's actually dope to see him get as much love and even just like respond, react, so to speak, on what we said about him.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. I've always felt like L doesn't get his props. I think because his versatility. One comment I read something about we were knocking him for his versatility, but I do think that his versatility is makes him so unique in a game where everybody's kind of going one way that when you start stacking it up, it does become one of those things. But I don't know. It's an interesting phenomenon. The fact that LL gets left out of these conversations, and the reason why we even mention this is because KRS left him out of that announcement that he put out there when he was calling out everybody of his generation. And so yeah, that's how that whole conversation even came. The fact that KRS left him out.
Well, it's funny. I actually have LL in my notes today for the album we're about to talk about.
Okay,
So,
cool, man. We're about to talk about Wale's album. How do you pronounce that again? Was it
what, Folarin?
Folarin II? Wale dropped
Right.
Folarin II. Shout out to DeCarlo in the room. He said, "What up, fellas? What up,
What up?
chat? What up, everybody in the room, man?" So we're gonna cover Wale's project today. What album? I don't even like to call stuff projects because it's an album. It's what it is, and it was very concise from beginning to end. And we're gonna get to that. We're gonna cover Wale's album. We're gonna cover Pusha T's upcoming album. He said that his new work is 1,000. How did he word it? He said he didn't say it was 1,000% better. He said it says Pusha T's upcoming album tops Daytona by 1,000%. I don't really know what that means, but we'll talk about some of those and what it could possibly mean. And also, we're gonna talk about our top five storytelling hip hop songs of all time, which is an interesting conversation. It was kind of brought up by one of our people in the chat last episode, I believe. They were asking who are our top five storytelling MCs. And then right after that was over, it looked like Complex did like an interview with Ghostface where he was going through their bracket and naming his top hip hop storytelling song. So we'll talk about that today too. But off the top, man, what were some of your thoughts about Wale's new album, man?
It was a dope project, Mike. It was really good. I thought it was one of his better albums. I immediately thought to myself, this might be his second best album,
Hmm.
like from beginning to end, in my opinion, because it's a pretty consistent project, wouldn't you say?
I agree. I really enjoyed it, to be perfectly honest. And if anybody's watching the show, oh my God, my phone is going off. Hold on 1 second. I need to put this thing on Do Not Disturb, especially since we're doing the show a little bit earlier, so you get more calls now. But anyway,
Yeah, you're
as a
all good.
person that is really not a super Wale fan like that, man, I
hmm
really, really enjoyed it. And I think I told you offline, I went into it with the mindset that, like, yo, we're going to end up comparing this to what Meek just put out because I think Meek has a real strong base. And he normally gives his people what they want. And same thing with Wale. And I think even when we had that conversation about Meek and where he fits in this generation, Wale's name came up a few times. So I went into it thinking that, okay, we're going to be comparing this to, Expensive Pain. And then after listening to it, I'm like, first of all, this is way better than Expensive Pain. And second of all, this is, to me, this is better than Drake's album, Certified Lover Boy. And I think he hit a lot of those marks that we were expecting Drake to hit at this point in his career, at his age, that Drake just didn't hit. And I say that because Wale hit that maturity line where he was able to make some bangers, he was able to make some introspective things, and he was able to make some relatable music that fit the age bracket. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought the production choice was awesome. I thought that he was on point as an MC. He didn't get carried by any of his features. I think he commanded in every moment of the album, and it's just a really good listen.
I agree with most of what you said.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get into some of the nuances of what you said, though.
Go
He
for it. While
sounds
I put my
super
phone on Do
comfortable.
Not Disturb real quick. Hold on. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he sounds comfortable, and he's super comfortable on this album. And you're right, he sounds very sharp and comfortable on these tracks as an MC.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike, the first thing I noticed is that these tracks, to me, they sound like some DC type of vibe
I like
to me.
that. I noticed
The
that too.
beat,
Yeah.
the drums, the acoustic sound of it. That's that DC. So he's kind of like on his like go-go gadget flow, like literally, as in like go-go music flow, as
Right.
in
I see
like
what you did there.
right, as in like he's pulling from that right. He's pulling from that go-go inspired musicality in terms of the drums and the snares and the acoustic sound of it. And he's
Mm-hmm.
comfortable with it, Mike, because he's from DC, so he's raised on it. So
I
he's
love it.
really in pocket. No, I love it because it's like this is one of those things that it's like it makes you wonder why he hasn't done more of this on his albums before.
I I was thinking the same thing. I was listening to the first two tracks. Let me go to the track list. Shout out to everybody in the room. I don't know
Like
if
the
y'all have
first two
heard the
tracks, like you,
yeah.
yeah,
It pulls you in. I don't know if y'all have heard the
yeah, it
Wale
pulls you in. You
album
hear it and
yet,
you feel it on the first couple.
but we want to know like what's your favorite song on there. But yeah, as soon as New Balances and I love Name Ring Bell. I really like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
that's
that was
when
the
I.
one that gave you the DC feel. I don't
Yeah.
know. Did you ever listen to Phil Day?
What?
Phil Day out of DC.
It's not ringing. It's
I'm
not
gonna
ringing a
send you some.
bell.
I don't think you have. I'm gonna send you some of Phil Day's music. He came out around the time that Wale came out, but he never really
Yeah.
broke because I don't think he ever signed a major deal. I could be wrong, but so he always kept his sound very DC, and I love his records. You know what I'm saying? And Wale was in some of those early Phil Day videos. I'm sure they're still cool and all that, but it made me feel like that. And yeah,
Yeah.
Damian Frederick says Name Ring Bell is my favorite. I feel you, man.
Name
Um,
ring bells, dope.
yeah, so as soon as the album opens up, honestly, I feel like the first six songs is where I like how Wale did this. The first six songs I feel like he kind of just came with his thing and then he started trickling in the features. Even though J. Cole is on the third song, but again, we've heard that song and that song's I think it's the single, right? It's either that or the record
Mhm.
with Chris Brown. But yeah, I love how he even formatted this and put this together. It's a well put together project. Oh yeah, Gray in here is mentioning Odyssey. Perfect. I love Odyssey too. Again, DC got dope
I'm familiar with
MCs.
Odyssey, yeah.
Some people would say that J. Cole kind of took a little bit of Odyssey steam and Odyssey style, but that is for the hip hop purists to sit there and debate that. But yeah, Odyssey's a dope artist, very consistent, and I really felt a lot of that DC vibe in this album. I loved it.
Hmm. No, it was good for him because it works for him because he sounds comfortable. And so
He does.
like the chemistry and what you're comfortable doing, like you don't want to get wrapped too much into doing too much of the same thing that people get tired of it. But this was a nice transition, a welcome transition, and something that maybe should have been done sooner in terms of like doing tracks like this more often. Mike, I'm with you in terms of how he placed this album. He established himself and his presence and the vibe and the tone of the album.
Hmm.
And then he opened the doors and let everybody in, which I think was a wise decision. Of the first six songs, the only one that I'm really not a fan of, which is Caramel. And that's just because I feel like he really didn't try on that record.
I like Caramel. I think the song that I wasn't a fan of might have been. I think I wrote it down. It was towards the end. Was it Jump In? It's
You
one
might
of
have been Jump In.
Yeah, I believe it was Jump In. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I could pretty much play this thing through. But I understand what you're saying. Like, lyrically, he didn't really try. But I like the production on Caramel like that. And I think, again, that was Wale jumping into that spoken word pocket that, I think that this is the thing. And not to ramble on, I think that Wale has a skill set that a lot of his peers don't have. And I think he's out here comparing himself to the wrong people. I know he always wants to compare himself to the J. Cole and Kendrick, but he does things that they don't do, and obviously they do things that he doesn't do. But I think what he had an opportunity to do when he came in the door was really to hammer down that DC sound that DC hip hop has, and they got a scene, they got a sound, and he could have
Hmm.
owned that. But I think for the most part of his career, a latter part of his career, he's been searching for an identity, and it feels like this feels like the identity that he could have been doing all along.
So, Mike, you're taking a lot of my notes that I wanted to bring up. I literally have written down. I said, "Who is Wale?"
Mm.
Because when I put and right next to that, Mike, I have LL because I
Okay.
thought of Wale today the same way, kind of that I might look at a LL. Well, is Wale is lyrically sharp, has a Kendrick Lamar or a J Cole? Well, no. The same way LL wasn't as lyrically sharp as a Rakim or a KRS-One or a Cool G Rap, but
Huh.
more versatile and able to make the type of records that you just don't hear those guys do. And here's what I really thought about. You want to know what the thing is with L that L had over those guys too? L was more fun than those guys, the same way Wale's more fun than these guys. You
That's
know?
interesting. That's interesting.
So I put Nelly and Ja Rule there too, Mike, because when I thought about who is Wale, that might be more somewhere where he fits closer to the LL side because of the quality of his spit game,
Mm-hmm.
or even a Ja Rule, because Ja Rule used to be able, like before Ja Rule became the hit maker, Ja Rule would spit, and
Right.
still did from time to time. But I thought of LL, Nelly, and Ja Rule. It's like, man, that might be more of Wale's lane and how he is going to be remembered and maybe should be remembered because he can do that.
I
And
think you're
because he did it well on
comparing.
this album for the most part,
I
with the exception of a few songs, in my opinion.
I believe you're comparing him to some of those which I totally don't disagree with because of their circumstance, right, and the way where they fit at amongst their peers. Who would you actually
Lyrically,
compare Wale to lyrically as an MC? Like, let's just say Wale's coming in the door and he spits, you know what I'm saying? He spits a New Balance or a name ring bell. Who would you sit there and say, you know what? I got this new artist. He reminds me of yada yada. Is there anybody to compare to him to like that?
that's part of the reasons why it's kind of hard to qualify him. He is
Right.
kind of a one-on-one in the sense that it's like he doesn't fall off of anybody's tree per se, Mike.
Right.
You can't really trace what he does and how he does it to somebody and say, "Oh, well, Wale was inspired by that guy or that." You really can't say that with Wale, so it changes things.
I think that's why he feels so isolated among his peers. And, it's interesting you bring up LL Cool J because, again, like at the top of the show, I was referencing what KRS-One said at the Versus, where he called out Rakim, he called out Cool G Rap, he called out, himself being in that discussion. He called out Slick Rick and then said, now the only person left is Kane, and here we are. And he left LL out of that conversation. I think Wale is one of those among his peers that feels like he's often left out of the Kendrick Cole and Drake conversation. And I've never heard Wale say this, but based on Wale's output, his ability, I'm pretty sure he feels like he's one-on-one nicer than Drake. I'm pretty sure. He's made those comments in the past that the mulatto MCs get, get elevated or whatever. I don't think he was talking about J. Cole in that sense. I think that he does feel like image wise and for other reasons he probably takes a backseat to Drake, and he probably feels like he's a nicer MC than Drake and doesn't get recognized for it. Do you think
I
that
would,
Wale is a better MC than Drake?
if we're just talking like on a bar for bar level, I would have to say yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like if I needed somebody to make me a song, I would take Drake. But if I needed just 16, or if I was going into a cipher, I would take Wale over Drake.
Well, what I will say about Wale in 2021, he's made a better album than Drake made. I think
That's
that,
right.
yeah.
So, Mike, I actually want to go to the comments that I have above "Who is Wale?" because one of my sentiments about this album is I was like, hey, there's no real there's no real rap shit on here, like that rap shit, like Kendrick. on Feel and on Element on Damn is on like some rap shit.
Well, I'm
Like,
glad he didn't force it though. You know what I'm saying?
well, it made me ask the question of who is Wale, because it's like I think he actually made an intelligent choice. I think he probably come to grips with the fact that he's never going to be categorized and recognized as the caliber of MC that Kendrick and that Cole are lyrically. Like, he's not put in that stratosphere, Mike. And this is why I brought up Ja Rule, kind of how like Ja Rule wasn't considered to be in that stratosphere with DMX and Jay-Z.
Right.
And so he's kind of doing what Ja did, and he's pivoting a little bit because he's doing something. He's like, well, those other guys could make a record like this from time to time, but I can make these records.
And you got to double down on it. And Ja Rule made the right decision.
And so did Wale. He just really doubled down on what's going to work for him, because this album just worked for him. The only tracks on here that I'm really not a fan of, Mike, are Jump In, Angles, and Caramel. Like, Angles, the rest of the album is pretty solid to me.
Yeah. I mean, I like Angles. Again, I get it. I understand what it's for.
I know what it's for, but how about this? And so these are my comments after that, is that if he's going to play that LL, Nelly, Ja Rule card, he's going to have to do it a little bit bigger and better next time in terms of the hit making, but I like where he's going.
You know, I wasn't a fan of him, I guess, redoing Vibrant Thing to an extent.
Me either. You want to talk about it?
I want to talk about it. It's not a bad song at all. But again, I think that me, as someone who is a huge Q-Tip fan, and I loved Vibrant Thing. I think Vibrant Thing did so much for the game. It really gave us the video vixen in that era, in my belief. And
yes, no, I agree.
I think that it was an underappreciated record in hip-hop history because of the fact that, you know, he was coming from Tribe, and with Q-Tip going solo, you're expecting a certain Tribe-esque thing going on, not even thinking that Bonita Applebaum was really their biggest song. So maybe that was, you know, Q-Tip's mindset. And I love Amplified. I think we talked about this a couple shows ago. Sounds like Q-Tip and Dilla were having a really good time when they were making it. And I've heard they were. But I wasn't a big fan at first of, you know, Wale choosing this to redo and using that for the J. Cole feature. But listening to it in the scheme of the album, I liked it. I liked the choice of doing that. I like the choice of actually getting J. Cole on some fun shit. I like the, you know what I'm saying, the choice of these two collaborating on an album like this on some hip-hop shit, but this is for the ladies. I'm cool with that. I liked it.
So let's unpack a couple things, and I'm going to finish off some of your history lesson with Vibrant Thing.
Mm-hmm.
People almost excoriated Q-Tip for making that song because it was nothing like anything that you had really heard, especially sonically, coming from Tribe's core member. I can remember there were a lot of heads like that were around me at the time that were super disappointed in that record, Mike.
Right.
I'm like you.
I remember that.
Mike, I always enjoyed that record. I always loved that record. And I used to tell people, it's like, no, let Q-Tip have some fun.
We were younger though, you know what I'm saying? Like,
No. We were younger, Mike. Mike.
So,
I was pretty strict and I was ahead. But that record, how about this, Mike? When I be saying I don't like that happy shit, what I really be saying is like, if you're gonna do it well. That was one of the first times that I had heard it done well. Like, he sounded great on that record. I do think it's the creation of the video vixen, like the chick with the green eyes, Mike. Like, she had everybody, like, you know what I'm saying? And so it was actually impactful, low-key, in a lot of ways.
I feel like that was Gloria Velez's first real standout, I guess, how do I say it, showcase in a music video, I think.
She wasn't even the highlight of the video.
No, she wasn't, but she was in there. Yeah,
she was in there, but she wasn't even the highlight of the video.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's the start of the Video Vixen. Really dope record. It's actually, beat-wise, it's actually like better now when you listen to it than people gave credit for then.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of ways, it's a hip-hop classic. And it's like, and I hate to say this, it's like that was the opportunity for them to be on some rap shit, but I was still pleased with the results because Cole really showed out on the record.
He did.
And it made me think he need to do some more happy shit.
See, you know what? That's funny you say that.
How about that?
I was going to say, if this was Cole's record instead of Wale's record, I think it would have been a standout on Cole's album, in my opinion,
Yeah.
single wise.
See, but that's the problem, though. You're not going to get this record on Cole's album. You're going to get it on Wale's album, and it's almost like Wale knows it now, and so he's calling in Cole to do that because it's not going to be on Cole's album, Mike.
Let me ask you something, man. I ain't
Maybe
even
it
have
needs to
this in
be.
my notes. Do you think Wale makes better radio records than J. Cole does?
I think Lotus Flower Bomb in that way are better singles probably than any one single J. Cole has released that I can think of off the top of my head. Because I like that better than Crooked Smile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your favorite J. Cole radio record? And people in the chat can join in too. Like, what is J. Cole's best radio record?
Best? I love Nobody's Perfect with Missy, Mike, me personally.
Okay. I'm trying to think.
On a personal level, I like Nobody's Perfect.
On my end, let me think. I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, does Wet Dreams count?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's off the top of my head. But, yeah, I mean, looking back
I don't love
at
that
it,
record. I don't love that record the way everybody else does, but...
DeCarlo says, yes, he does. DJ Bruce Almighty said, yes, he makes better singles. That's interesting. That people feel
Mike,
Wale
it's been true. No,
Yeah.
It's been true. That's why I keep going to like the LL. That's why it's like, no. LL kind of created that lane because it's like, you can't tell me, okay, so here's the thing, Mike. People talk about LL and how great he is, like lyrically. People acting like L didn't switch it up.
Oh,
Mike, you remember the album? What is it? Walking with a Panther?
Listen.
That's the switch up, Mike. That's when he transitioned from. And Mike, that's right around the time that guess who was coming out? Rakim.
I was thinking of listening to Walking with the Panther today. I was thinking about listening to that album today. Excuse me, because
I'm that type of guy. Can I interest you? And I'm that type of guy.
So many people in our chat were mentioning Walking with the Panther today, and I was like, man, maybe I need to go back and listen to that.
No, you don't.
DeCarlo says Power Trip, and I might be with you on that. I think I might go with Power Trip.
You want to know what? I'll give you Power Trip over Nobody's Perfect. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, no, everybody in the chat was talking about Walking with the Panther. You must have never heard Walking with the Panther.
This shit not hot.
I didn't think so either. And I love LL, man. I mean, from end to end. And again, Mike, we're not going to get off subject here, but we're talking about Paid in Full. We're talking about Criminal Minded.
I remember my big cousins complaining about Walking Like a Panther when Big Cuz, who's 8 years older than me, bought the tape.
Well, I mean, let's go chronologically with LL then. Like, what was he? Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. What album was he talking about?
He talking about Walking Like a Panther, Mike, because how about this? Going Back to Cali. He caught flack for making Going Back to Cali.
I know.
Going Back to Cali. Styling, profiling.
Yeah, I mean, revision is history.
Mike, Rakim's over here doing I Ain't No Joke, and KRS-One's doing My Philosophy.
Yeah,
and
man.
He's doing Going Back to Cali.
I'm not trying to be funny, and I think LL's one of the greats, but you're right. To put it into perspective, when you got My Philosophy being put out there, you got Raw out there, you got Follow the Leader and Microphone Fiend out there, and then you got Going Back to Cali. Yeah, that's why you weren't mentioning that.
Mike, and Going Back to Cali was the second single, if I'm not mistaken. I'm That Type of Guy was the first single, and that's even softer than I'm Going Back to Cali.
Yeah,
it's real soft.
No. That is very, very legit, man. Like I said, when you got
video, he's all in the black stretch pants, acting like a thief in the night or something.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, so let's not get brand new.
No, I feel you. It's revisionist history, is what it is. Miss Mo says Q-Tip.
It's also accurate accounting history. Switched his whole style up.
Miss Mo says Q-Tip is a GOAT, period. I totally agree with you. Once again, man, my favorite overall hip-hop artist. We talk about producer, DJ, MC, just overall eclectic creative in hip-hop. Ain't nobody matching Q-Tip.
I mean,
didn't he create the Tribe Called Quest logo, the first one?
Yes, that's correct. And Mike, I will tell you this though, Mike. I mean, especially as far as coming out of New York and the East Coast is concerned, Oh, no, in hip hop, Mike, you're gonna be hard pressed to find a guy who had their hands in some sort of level on the making of four classics, the caliber of the Low End Theory, Midnight Marauders, Illmatic, and the Infamous. Like he had a hand in all of those
So you
projects.
just
Like
gonna skip over People's Instinctive, but okay, I got you.
No, Mike. Even People's Instinctive, if we want to say that it's a classic, it's not a classic to the level of those four records, though, is it?
I guess I'm with you. I mean, but to me, it's a classic.
We're not doing
It's the
this
first
today.
hip hop album that we get 5 mics. We're not going to do that today. We're talking about
Golf
Wale.
claps.
But what I will say, when it comes to Q-Tip and his position and Tribe, I feel like it's a catch-22, right? It's a double-edged sword when you have somebody who does so many things for that already talented collective. You become, I don't want to say a dictator, but you become somebody that, depending on what your cast is like, kind of like Michael Jordan, right? Where
we go. Yep.
Some people would say that Michael Jordan was bullying his teammates, but I mean, he was just doing so much. He expected so much, and sometimes you're going to get pushback from that. I mean, I feel like, rest in peace, him and Fife were having those kind of riffs because, again, they had known each other since they were children. And then when it gets to a point where you feel like you could tell me what to do and where you don't want me living because you want everybody in New York while we're recording and I want to live in Atlanta, you cause rifts in the group in that way. And those are just natural riffs. I mean, to the point where Fife even was, do you remember he was dissing Q-Tip for Vibrant Thing, the song that we were just talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It happens.
Grown men, it's going to be some tension.
What I love about them, though, was even though those things were going on, they still found ways to tour together. They still found ways to record together. Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't easy, but, they put a lot of that aside for their fans and for the culture, and that's why they're one of the greatest, man. I mean, shoot, Dre and Big Boy are super cool, and we still ain't got no music from them, so,
Top 5 rap group, Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, most definitely. Outkast, too,
yeah, I mean, of course. Yeah. I mean, both of them. We ain't talking about Cast right now, though.
Yeah, but definitely, man.
But back to this Wale, though, so I feel like this is Wale's lane. Mm-hmm. He's comfortable right here, and I think what he needs to kind of do is kind of what Nas just did on King's Disease, which is like double down and come back with this again next year, done better, because I think that he can do that. Like, I like what I heard.
It's interesting you say Nas, not to interrupt you, but I think...
I'm just talking about in terms of emotion.
No, I understand, and I agree. I think that the type of music that Wale put forth on this album, he can make for years and years and years, regardless of what's going on in the game.
Yeah.
You can make the type of album that Wale just made well in your 40s.
You want to know who said he was going to be around for a long time? When Jay was on The Breakfast Club, he brought up Wale and said Wale is going to be here for a long time. And this album is some proof to that, because you're right, Mike. Like Name Ring Bell. Oh, it's like they playing that literally right now in D.C. while we talking about this in the streets. Mm-hmm. Like they literally playing that right now. They playing this album right now up there. Yeah.
This is the thing, man. Like, and one of the things that he has going for him that Drake has, and not a lot of MCs really have going for them, he has a whole city behind him. Like, he is the guy for
the flag.
City. Yeah. And so,
he's the flag.
And as long as he's able to stay consistent and really, find himself and represent that city on a mainstream level, he's going to have that support at least. You know what I'm saying? Even if the rest of the country doesn't fuck with what Wale's doing, as long as he keeps it DC, DC's gonna fuck with him.
Well, this is what I mean about how they're
in the surrounding area.
So let's talk about like on a small level, like the psychology of this. Well, this album is slapping in a way that his albums haven't been slapping in a minute, Mike. Mm-hmm. It's been at least 6 or 7 years that I can just think of off the top of my head that he's made an album of this quality, because I think this album is better than, when I heard this album, I was like, well, this is better than The Gifted. And The Gifted is his second or third best album, depending on how you feel about his first album before Ambition. Ambition's his best album. This isn't better than Ambition.
Okay. I want to listen to him side by side.
Like, because on Ambition, he's still like on his rap shit too, but he's making the hits too. Like when he's talking like on Legend, I'm sort of like Socrates in a Prada tee.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's not that, like, that guy's not on this album,
He's
but
got
this
some
guy's.
wordplay on here that's pretty strong.
No. The
Yeah.
Felicia Rashad, Bill Cosby thing, like, that was hilarious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's slick with it still, like that. It's not his lyrically as strong as Ambition, and the hit records on Ambition are better.
I
That's
would
what
say
I'm
the
saying.
hit
Like,
records
That
are
Way and
probably
Lotus
the
Flower
divide.
Bomb are better hit records, and lyrically he's
Yeah.
better. Production, we could call it a wash or even give this project the nod, but that's still his best album. But this is like a day where DC can like raise their flag up and be like, look at what our boy did. You feel what I'm saying? That's different.
Yeah.
That's different than like holding the city down. The city been holding them down through all of this. This is one of the day the city can put the flag up and be like, yeah.
No, you're right. Ted
Yeah.
CNN says his best album is the album about nothing. That was dope too.
What, the Seinfeld album? See, that's what I mean. It's like when you say that, it's like, are you talking from like a conceptual and lyrical level? Because it's like possibly, but like overall, like no, just like one of his 5 best albums.
I like identity, man. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're able to identify who you are and you go out there and double down on that, that's what I like to see
So
in an
let's
artist.
so let's
Yeah.
talk about the album All About Nothing. This is right around the time where he's probably literally Mike trying to figure out the identity, because he's realizing that, well, he's not Drake, but he's not Cole or Kendrick. Where is he? But you want to know what he is, and I want to go to some notes that I had about this. He's a more mature man on this album, and he's the mature man that's having fun still, and that you can still tell is him, which is actually kind of what we were knocking Drake and Meek for. It's like, well, I know that's you, but why haven't you matured a little bit? Wale's still having fun on this album and doing his thing, but the misogynistic rhetoric is different and is toned down. You want to know why? Because he's older and more mature. It's reflecting in how he's creating the records in terms of the verbiage he's using, even when he's having fun. And so you
You're
hear
right.
the maturity in that without him having to change his subject matter. How about that?
Everything we asked for from Meek and Drake, or that we didn't get
Wale
this year.
just gave us.
Yeah,
Yep.
Wale just gave us, and he
Wale
gave
just
it
gave us
in a
what we
very
were looking
natural
for.
form.
Yep, organically, because he went to that DC pocket.
What are you rating this album out of 5? Because people are talking this storytelling topic now. So, what are you rating this out of 5?
It's definitely a 4 to me. I don't know if I want to rate it higher yet. I want to hear it again from beginning to end, because I've heard it once, and then I just picked up a couple of tracks again to make sure that I was really enjoying what I was hearing.
I was leaning on a 4.25. I want to listen to it again.
Mike, I feel like I'm going to end up giving it that rating. That's why it's like it's definitely a 4, but I'm leaning with you on that. But
Yeah.
I felt like Caramel was uninspired. I felt like the joint with Chris Brown he made because he had to make.
It's a good song, though, and I hear it on the radio a lot. Yeah.
And also, Mike, too, it makes me feel like that track with Gibbs, they got left off.
I was gonna say something
Is on
about
some
that
rap
too.
shit. Mike is on some rap shit because Gibbs be on some rap shit. This album's not on some rap shit.
Yeah.
Well, bonus track that and give us some rap shit, because
I'm sure there's gonna be a
drawback-
deluxe, like Gibbs said.
Mike, Gibbs was saying, I hope I make the deluxe, because the one drawback I give you this album, there is a core base of him that does want to hear him on that rap shit. You know, when I play Ambition, I want to hear Legendary and I want to hear That Way.
But
Like,
this is the
because I
thing
know
too.
he can do both.
And when Gibbs put that out there, the run that Gibbs is on right now, I think he's at the top of his career, right? So I'm pretty sure the song is quality. And the fact that he made the decision to leave that off lets you know
That
how
was a
focused.
stylistic choice.
Yeah, lets you know how focused he is on the album and not other
Right.
things. And I respect that. That probably wasn't an easy, removal.
That's an album stylistic choice, probably not a song being good enough to make the record
Exactly.
choice. Some songs you do with artists, and it's like, no, I know that's him and I know that's me, but that record's just not strong enough. I don't think that was probably the case. Because when I listened to this album, I'm like, well, stylistically, that doesn't fit. Because when I looked at the track list, and I'm like, well, if there's going to be some rap shit on here, it's going to be with J. Cole. But then I saw Poke It Out, and I'm like, well, that's not on some rap shit. And then I'm like, Light Years with Rick Ross. I'm like, well, that's going to be bossy. I'm like, well, where the rap shit? Well, I'm looking at the Wale solo tracks, and when you hear the Wale solo tracks, it's not there. And so that Gibbs track probably didn't fit. So probably leaked or deluxe.
It'll probably be deluxe. I don't think it's going to be leaked. Last question about this album, and we'll move on. Do you think this album has the potential to crank in the top 5 of album of the year conversation? Where does this
No,
album land?
no, I don't think that.
You don't
I
think
think
that?
King's Disease 2 is better still. AZ's Do or Die 2 is better still.
Hmm.
Hitler Wears Hermes 8. We're going to rate it as a whole because Westside asked that it be rated as a whole. He said he made a post. It's not separate albums, it's one album.
I disagree with that because I'm sorry. If it's put out in 2 separate times,
We're
it's
going to
2
respect
separate
the
albums.
artist's creative licensing. We're going to respect the artist's creative license. If he wouldn't have said it, I would rate it differently. Like, I'd be rating Life After Death Volume 1 and 2 differently. I'd be rating All Eyes on Me Volume 1 and 2 differently. The artist never said anything. They weren't in the format of a times where you could really put that out. He's put it out. He wants it taken as one album. That's actually hurting the rating of B, but overall, still probably one of the 5 best projects this year. Skyzoo's album, All the Brilliant Things, Isaiah Rashad, The House is Burning Down.
I think this is better than Isaiah Rashad's The House is Burning.
I'm going to have to listen to it again to give you that.
Yeah, I think this is better than Isaiah Rashad's. It's really tough again with
production wise and just
Gun.
stylistically. I just love what Isaiah did. Like I said, when I was rating that album, it's like, well, my bias maybe came out with that album more than any other album because it's like, man, well, that's the shit that I want to hear.
Is it better than
from a younger artist? From a younger artist coming up, you feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Is it better than Tyler's album?
I feel like the bangers on Tyler's album are better than the bangers on this album.
I want to listen to them back to back again. I don't want to be prisoner at the moment, but right now, off the top of my head, the ones that you mentioned, I'm still putting Skyzoo ahead of it. I'm still putting King's Disease 2 ahead of it. Mm-hmm. Everything else I want to listen to again. I might.
You don't think?
I think I would probably put Do or Die 2 ahead of it.
I'm about to say you need to listen to Do or Die 2 again too.
I don't.
And Hitler.
I mean, I do have to listen to Hitler Wears Hermes 8 again because it's just so many songs, man. Like I want to be fair. You know what I'm saying?
No, Mike, but I hear you. But it's like,
yeah, I feel you. I mean, Mike, it's just so hard, man. It's hard, man.
Okay, so there's 15 songs on this album, I believe. Like the 8 best songs between side A and B on Hitler Wears Hermes 8 are better than almost everything on this project. So I can't say that.
Okay, all right. So
like,
the one I say I do have to listen to again is
like Mike,
The House is Burning.
Right. Okay. No, I give you that, Mike. But is there a track on here that's better than 99 Avarex? Because that's probably like the third or fourth best song. You feel what I'm saying?
What about they're bringing up J. Cole's album in here. Shout out to DJ Bruce Almighty. Is it better
Mike, I think that's more of a fair comparison and argument. Like okay. I think Isaiah Rashad, Tyler, J. Cole, and Wale's album, I think we should be stacking those next to each other and looking at them. I think just off the top of my head, I know Nas's album is better. I know AZ's album is better. I know Westside's album is better.
Okay.
I know those 3 are better, and I feel like Skyzoo's album is better too, even though I haven't listened to it in a minute. I'm going to go give that another burn because it's about that time for us to do another burn on everything anyway, because it's time for us to do the Hip Hop Yearbook again.
Yeah, it's time for us to do this Hip Hop Yearbook, this wrap up. We're going to put 2021 into one consolidated time capsule and, get it out to the fans. And I know you guys are putting your input in it too, so everybody has a little bit of ownership in this. With that being said, you were about to say something?
No, tell the people that they have ownership because, even when I was doing some of the list and some of the stuff that I was doing last year, I took the input from the comments from the shows about the things that we talked about because we actually did a show where we talked about these things, and I took those comments into heavy consideration when I was comprising stuff and putting things together as far as like lyrics, verses of the year, albums of the year, songs of the year, singles, like all of that, guest appearances. So it's like, no, like feedback here matters. Like we try to listen to like what the collective say as well, because
Speaking we're usually of which, people are bringing up Donda. I thought Donda was brilliant. Coop
Is
thinks
Donda a
Donda's
rap
less than.
album too, Mike? That's what I was.
That's the only thing. I'm not sure how much of a rap album Donda is, more so
Because
than a
Mike, because if we calling
gospel album.
Donda a rap album, we gotta call Thug's album a rap album too.
That's real.
That's
Even
real.
though I think Donda's is a better album than Thug's album, but yeah, I feel you. Off concept alone, I think Drake's album
Concept.
might not even crank
The
the top
production
10.
not better. Production's
Yeah.
not better on Donda than it is on Thug's album.
I don't know. There's a
I
lot of
do.
there's so many things with Donda. I do believe Donda was yanked from Def Jam and put out. I don't know
Mike,
if that was
did
the
you,
finished version. I don't.
Mike, did you see the post about the engineer talking about all the tracks and stuff
Yeah.
and how? Mike, that sounds like slavery.
It's a lot.
That's
going
slavery.
on.
That's slavery, Mike.
Okay. Speaking of which, and speaking of that camp, this is a great transition. Pusha T says his upcoming album tops Daytona by 1,000%. First off, do you think we're going to get Pusha T's new album, which I don't think has a title yet? Think we're going to get that in this calendar year?
I hope so. He said we were getting it this year, so that's my hope.
Okay.
Sound like Don King right now because he's definitely bloviating. Because if it's 1,000 times better than Daytona, it's about to be the best rap album we've ever heard.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't. But see, he didn't even say. See, this is it's word salads, right? He says it tops Daytona by 1,000%. I don't know what that means. Does he mean that he's confident that it's better than Daytona by 1,000%, or is it 1,000% better than Daytona? Those are two different things, right? I don't know, man. I think that we all know how great Daytona was. I don't know how high on Daytona people in the room are, but you and I were very high on Daytona. Still am to this day. I have Daytona on vinyl. I think it's brilliant. I think that from beginning to end, I am continuously impressed with Daytona's lyricism, the production job that Kanye West did. I think it was a very special moment in the sense where it felt like, to me, that you talk about all these engineers and all that stuff that was involved in Donda, it really felt like Kanye West in the room and Pusha T in the room, and they cranked out these 7 songs, including What Would Meek Do, where Kanye decided to jump on there himself. And let's go ahead and dial in a verse with Rick Ross, and we got an album. You know what I'm saying? Rick Ross came in and kicked it with him for a second, knocked out his shit, and then kept it moving. To me, Daytona is...
Probably sent the verse. Probably didn't even come and kick it. Probably just caught the wave.
I'm just figuratively speaking. That's just how the album sounds. It sounds like magic in a bottle. And
no, it is. Sounds magical.
If you're pulling in a whole bunch of different elements, you know what? This is my best example. I don't want to go on a tangent, but how we talk about Wu-Tang Into the 36 and Wu-Tang Forever. Yeah, you could say on a technical level, Wu-Tang Forever is a better album, but you're not going to get that moment of the 36 Chambers back. I don't care how much these MCs have improved. And I think that's where Pusha T's going on this, where he feels like he's that much improved as an MC. But I don't like him out here insinuating the tagline that it's 1,000% better than Daytona. Because when we hear something and we don't get that feeling that we got from Daytona, you're putting this album in a backwards stance.
That's a lot. So, first of all, if he's better as an MC, like, I don't know what to say to that, Mike.
I don't
really don't know what to say.
I want to hear it at this point. If you better than what I heard on Daytona by that much.
What I will say is this. First of all, I played What Would Meek Do last night. You know how I feel about that record. That's my favorite record on Daytona. Played What Would Meek Do last night.
I mean, the way he approached Santeria, you know what I'm saying? The way he approached hard piano. Like,
right.
My nigga.
But here's what I will say. Here's something that's understated. So a few things are understated about Pusha T. Like, he might have like one of the, he has probably like the sneakiest, greatest catalog like ever. Because first of all, when you're going to hear his catalog, most of what you're going to hear is Neptune's Kanye and Timberland beats. Mike, how many MCs can say that?
No,
when you
no,
hear
for
most
real.
of his stuff, you're about to hear the Neptunes, Kanye, and Timberland. Like, that's for one.
Do we even hear any Timberland? I'm thinking just Neptunes and Kanye.
From Dusk Till Dawn, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah. There's some stuff on there too, like Untouchables on there.
Yeah.
Sunshine with Jill Scott's on there. Yeah, there's some stuff on there. That's weaker than My Name Is My Name, and obviously Daytona, like it's his third weakest solo project, but there's still some stuff on there. Like that's still a solid project. So Mike, he's great. And we just talked about how super comfortable Wale feels in his zone. Well, this album apparently is being produced by Pharrell and Kanye.
That's what the word is.
I mean, Mike, if that's the truth, where is he most comfortable?
I mean, listen, he knows his production. I mean, even when
He
you look
knows,
at, even
right,
if you look
he
at
knows.
songs like, what's the song with him and Tyler? Nigga, it's the blackout. Rory with the back out. Shovel my black ass.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know what you're talking
Hard.
So, Mike,
That beat
I'm gonna
is
tell you
crazy.
what. I'm gonna tell you the main thing that has me excited about it, and I hope he drops it this year, because I think it will be not Daytona, but Daytona-like. Is that in that piece they were talking about how, like, he was talking about how Pharrell was pushing back on him about some of the records. Like, no, like that's great, but people have heard you be great at that. And so I like the fact that he's working with somebody that's actively in there pushing him to be greater, because he's already all-time great. And it's somebody that's literally known him since he was a teenager, pretty much. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
That's different. Like, that's different when Pharrell, who's known you since you were a teenager, is like, nah, but I know you can do that. So let's do this.
Trouble
like,
on
they're
My Mind
challenging
is
each
the
other.
record. I don't mean to interrupt you, but some people in the chat are making some really good points. Trouble on My Mind is the record I was talking about, for one. But somebody brought up something that I did want to cover too. Unknown Name says Pusha needs to expand his subject matter. Is that Jay-Z in there under an unknown name? Anyway.
No, Mike.
But
Mike,
no,
that's
this
what
is
I'm
what I
talking
was
about, the
gonna say.
convo with Pharrell, though, because Pharrell's like, no, we know you can do that. He's being pushed right now.
This is the
by
thing I
Pharrell,
was going to
according
say,
to that
though.
blurb.
On an all-time list, and I think that the fact that Daytona is 7 songs really helped the fact that Pusha doesn't expand on a lot of subject matter, right? But he's at this point in his career, and especially since he's done so much since his previous album. He's gotten married, had a kid. Obviously, his life is in a different place than it was when Daytona came out. This is the opportunity to make that Ready to Die, Life After Death jump and make some songs that kind of expand on your palette a little bit.
Right.
And this is where the all-time talk really comes in, honestly.
Right. So,
And
Mike, so
he's going to
what's
need
keeping
more
him
than
from the
7 songs
all-time
to
talk?
do that. He's going to need more than 7 songs to do that, and I think that's what he's talking about. And we know Pusha T really looks at Big, and we've talked about it in the past, even with the Clips sophomore effort. Big was one of the people that he really looked to take on that approach for Hell Has No Fury. And I think he's looking at that this time around, too.
So that's the thing. He's been around so long. Technically, that's their third effort, just like Hell on Earth would be Mobb Deep's third effort, because they got exclusive audio footage. Like, they made exclusive audio footage right around the time the Neptunes got plugged up with Noriega and they did Super Thug. That's around the same time. So that's late 90s, actually, since Pusha's been around.
Gotcha.
And that's what I was going to say. Like, he's been around for a long time, and he's also had time to sit back and reflect on the game. Mike, if you were to pull up his greatest hits, it would feel very Cool G rap-like, just with better production because of the people that I named. And so, and the only thing that he is missing, Mike, is just some of that transitional stuff. And it doesn't have to be More Money, More Problems, or Hypnotize, or Big Papa, or One More Chance, because not even Jay can do that. So we're not expecting
it has to be Sky's the Limit, though. I know you're not a big fan of that record, but the growth.
No. I get what you're saying. But also, too, Mike, there's something to be said for doing what you do well and what has happened now with him, well, Mike, there's nothing really else for him to do has an MC, but that he's one of the few guys walking around with classic material as a group artist and a solo artist now.
But
Not a
I
lot of
think
guys can say that, Mike.
You know what's happened though, not to interrupt you, is the fact that you got other people taking in that space now. Like I think Benny and I think Conway and Westside have taken up that space now where it's like, okay, now it's time for the OG Pusha to kind of expand a little bit more and show that separation from even those guys. You know what
Mike,
I mean?
you're right, because Conway's the first guy that's come along that's even made me like think about if Pusha is like the best lyricist, especially like on the street rhetoric. Like he's the first guy to come along. And I mean, Mike, and I'm talking about how I feel since Hell Hath No Fury.
Right.
So it's been a long time since somebody's came along the Conway of Conway and Benny to kind of be even in that same lane, spitting the way that he has always spit consistently. And you even hear Benny on records has bigged up Pusha as the guy that's been in
definitely.
that lane.
And you know, and as great as I think From a King to a God is, it's not Daytona to me.
I don't think so either. I just think he deserves kind of the same marks for doing it longer on a longer record, even with the guest appearances taken into consideration.
No, I get that.
And Conway competitively would never big up Push like that because he's more competitive. You feel me?
Let me be clear. I want to be clear, and I know a lot of people have a problem with that 7-song thing. I get it. You know what I'm saying? And I've had that same. Huh?
Illmatic and Paid in Full are 9 songs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I have no problem with the 7 songs.
Okay.
You know, when you're making a perfect project, you're making a perfect project. I didn't want them to add on 2 other songs that could possibly throw off the flow. If it's complete, it's complete. And it's a lot to be said about an album with just 7 songs that feels that complete. It feels like, you know what, I have to listen to this whole album again. Not just number 2, not just number 3, not just number 4, but this whole album again. And Daytona hit that mark. I hope, as a Pusha T fan, I hope that I get that same feeling from this album, which is probably going to be like 13, 14 songs.
Like a Clips album.
What's that?
Like a Clips album. A Clips album is usually like 13, 14 songs.
As much as I love Hell Have No Fury, and, you know, you and I, we debate this all the time. Right. I like Daytona more, but I like Pusha over Kanye production more than I like Pusha over Neptune production. And the Neptunes are my favorite production collective over the past 30 years.
You want to know why? And it's funny that you're bringing them up, because it's like they do the happy shit the best, and that's not what he does the best.
Yeah.
He actually does the menacing. I told you, Mike, he's more like Cool G Rap than anybody since Cool G Rap came along, because nobody since G Rap has been that menacing, talked about that lifestyle, lived that lifestyle, and been that nice on the mic and been menacing. You know what I'm saying? Like, been cool with being the bad guy.
I love the Re-Up Gang shit. Like, I love.
No, he's got. That's what I mean. It's Mike. As far as that street shit go, Mike. I mean, Mike. His records, as far as just the street shit, they match up against anybody ever. Like, it's like that. But he don't have those big records. But Mike, what he does have, he's kind of like, he's in the same class that KRS, Ice Cube, Ghost, and Ray are in. Solo artist with solo classic and solo group material. That makes him rare. Mm-hmm. Is he going to go into even more rare air, I think, is the question with this, because there's nothing else for him to do but that.
You know what I would give him props in, too?
He's got Hell Hath No Fury. He's got the mixtapes.
I would give him props also on this. A lot of his peers that came out around the late 90s, early 2000s weren't able to transition into the 2010s that well, because the game had changed. It wasn't about radio like that. And he was able to transition. You would think that somebody like a Jeezy would have been able to make that transition, right? Because Jeezy wasn't even about like hit records per se. It was more about core, mixtape, underground stuff. Like, why wasn't he able to make a transition like a Pusha T was? Mike,
he's low-key outlasting guys. He was around before Luda, before Jeezy, before Tip.
Rick Ross was lasting pretty well,
before Ross. Mm-hmm. He was there before all these guys. Like Mike, he came, Clips came out around the time Noriega came out. He's outlasted Noriega too. Noriega's on Drink Champs now. He was on the Grinding remix.
No, for real, man.
That's their second album, Mike. Like that's what I'm saying. He's greater than even people realize. He's transitioned eras, and nobody talking the way that he talks has transitioned eras like this. Cool G
You
Rap
know
didn't
what? It's funny
transition
you
like
say
this.
that because everybody in the chat is bringing up Wayne and Pusha. He's one of the few people that has been able to transition as well. I think really the Wayne and Pusha comparison, even though I think it's an odd comparison and a lot of people want to compare it because of the issues they've had on the mic, but they do have very similar careers in that light. I
No,
think his,
Wayne's a star.
I think Wayne's stardom and his rise to prominence probably fueled Pusha to keep going in
No, but
certain
Mike, okay,
ways.
so let's talk about why that happened.
Yeah.
So the Clips are in a bad situation with their record label, and Lil Wayne is with Baby and Universal. The situation is different. I keep telling you, like sometimes it's about who you get drafted to, Mike.
Oh, definitely.
You know?
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't think
Yeah.
Tim Duncan would. We've discussed this before too. I don't think Tim Duncan would have been able to be who he was if he got drafted to the Timberwolves, and if KG got drafted to the Spurs, they would have two totally different careers.
Well, Mike, it's funny that you say that. When people tell me that, like I've had people tell me, especially like in this city, that Wayne is the greatest MC to them. But every time they bring up Wayne, I'm like, well, he's not even better than Push. And he's the guy that I immediately go to because I'm like, well, he can't even outspit Push, and he don't even really want to do it with Push. And I feel that way. I don't find Wayne to be better than Pusha T as an MC.
Me either. I think as an overall artist, you got to give him his props and just the hit records that he's been on. And if they were to do a versus, it would probably be more competitive than people think. But Wayne got hits all over the place. So, but I
Push
agree
though.
with
That's
you
what I'm saying. How about this, Mike? Them Re-Up Gang mixtapes are better than Wayne's mixtapes to me. Re-Up Gang Volume 1, Volume 2.
Oh man, people would kill you for that comment. I mean, me personally,
I don't care.
You know
what? Which one? The I'm Not Human? Like which one? Like go listen to Re-Up Gang Volume 1, Volume 2.
Go to the
no, Mike, go listen to
grills.
Re-Up Gang Volume 1, Volume 2. You tell me who really spitting.
They're gonna go to Dedication 2. That's where you start.
Okay,
first.
Mike, they can go wherever they want to go. Go listen to Re-Up Gang Volume 1, Volume 2. You telling me who the best MC is.
People are arguing in the chat right now. Look,
Go to Hell Hath No Fury. Like, Mike, lyrically, Wayne ain't never had no performance like Hell Hath No Fury, and that's including the Carter, too.
Gray says Wayne had one of the best peaks ever.
Mike, he was maybe the best rapper alive for about a year or two. That's not one of the best peaks ever.
I'm just glad people aren't talking about Eminem, man. You know what? I love the fact that the time has shown who the real ones are, man. You know, like Jigga said, it's only so long fake thugs can pretend. Nigga. but man, I'm looking forward to Pusha T's album, man, and the fact that he's been here so long and all of the things that you stated, this is an important effort. This could be that effort that puts him over the top. We saw how like a Versus did for Jadakiss, right?
Like, how about this?
It got him in a conversation again.
Right. Hold on. I don't mean to cut you off. If Pusha T makes the diversified effort that I think he's capable of making, all them people making them Wayne comments like aren't going to have anything to go off of. And that's what I mean. Like, no, like this is potentially big for him because it's like, what y'all got Wayne for? Wayne ain't got crazier bars than Pusha. He's not better with metaphors. He doesn't have a better delivery. He doesn't necessarily have a better rap voice. No, Mike. Like I said, Lil Wayne doesn't have classic rap album with group and solo artists like Push. Push checks more boxes than Lil Wayne outside of the hit making. And so if he can go make an album that's diversified, all that talk that y'all talking about, because them Re-Up Gang mixtapes are just as strong as Wayne's mixtapes. You just haven't heard them because Wayne's a bigger star, so you don't know what I'm talking about.
I think
matter of fact, Pusha talking shit about Wayne on some of them mixtapes, and Wayne never said shit because he didn't want it with Push. How about that?
No, you're right. You know, I think the one thing for me that totally separates Pusha from Wayne.
He ain't never stepped to that dude.
No, you're right. I think that the one thing that separates Wayne from Pusha, or vice versa, is there's never been any questionable pen talk when it comes to Pusha. You know, I think the ghostwriting thing hovers above Wayne to a certain extent. And really, I have to give it some level of validity because Wayne's style changed drastically. And even when you talk about him at his apex, he wasn't able to keep it up. Like, he's rapping good now. He's having a really good run now.
Sounds great.
But we've never seen anybody do these peaks and valleys like Wayne is a lyricist. You know what I mean? Like
I mean,
we've never
Mike,
seen that.
there's Gilly, there's the Gilly speculation on the Carter 1. You can't tell me Drake didn't have a hand on the Carter 3 because it sounds drastically different stylistically from the Carter 2. Mike, ain't never been no question about Push's pen ever. And Push, and you have to understand something. When Push is talking, you have to understand, like, he done did a song with that Camp before, What Happened to That Boy.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously seen some things that
Not
make
even
him
just
say
that.
stuff, Mike, that make him say stuff like he said on Trap or Die 2.
Well, I
Tell
mean, not
Hova don't
even
pass the
just
crown
that.
so soon, unless he got a crown for every writer in the room. There's too many spirits on these ghost written tunes, so you can't crown an heir till you seance the room. That's right after they had did Mr. Carter on the Carter 3. So
Yeah.
he's speaking to something.
Well, the other thing too is he's closer to the situation than people think, because even with the re-up gang, you got Sandman and Ab Lava. They got that whole what's the name of the group that Gilly and all of them was in? Yeah, that's us. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
So they were all in the same group. He's closer to this thing than people realize.
Know.
It's like,
people realize. So when he talking about Wayne having people write for him, major figures, right. So when he talking about, you know, Wayne having ghostwriters, he not pulling that out his ass in a bar to just say it. He's not that type of dude.
I mean, that drastic jump from 500 Degrees to the Carter 1 is one of the strangest jumps I've ever seen.
Mike, it's the biggest jump in rap history by a rap artist. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, it's the biggest jump ever.
I would say the other jump would be Common from Can I Borrow a Dollar to Resurrection, but that was somewhat gradual. You know what I'm saying?
There was like almost like a 3 or 4 year gap between the projects, though. He actually had,
Yeah. But yeah.
What's the time gap on like the Carter 1 and 500 Degrees? Like
I feel
2
like
years?
it was a year, maybe 2.
I feel like 2.
Yeah, it might have been a year and a half, 2. Yeah, something like that. But
yeah.
I mean, I already have Pusha ahead of Wayne for a lot of reasons, but I think that, you know, those are things that could be debated. But this right here, if Pusha's looking for any momentum in this creation of this album, this is a separator on an all-time thing. And I think it's a separator when it comes to where he is placed with what Griselda has going on, too. You know what I'm saying? Because they've kind of
They might have actually enhanced his stock while he was gone.
I think so. I think Jada Kiss and Pusha T are very, you know, in a very close neighborhood, closer than people think. I think because Jada's from New York, I hate to say it like that, but you know, the East Coast bias is what it is. People consider Jada just, you know, top 10 off top, but I think Jada and Pusha T are a lot closer than people want to think.
So Mike, when I did my last top 10 list, which was a while ago, I had Pusha T one slot ahead of Jada Kiss about everything that you're talking about. Because even if do you think Kiss is a better MC than Pusha T? Just bar for bar, do you think Kiss is better?
I don't know. I don't know.
So that's my thing. When I'm saying I don't know about an MC and I'm talking about Jada Kiss, that motherfucker's really, really nice. That's one thing. Okay.
Well, when I say I don't know, we got to go to the catalog.
I'm not sure if they're better than Kiss. Yeah. That's a conversation. But at the point that I'm questioning that, or that it's in the same realm, then I'm going to catalog, and he has a better catalog than Kiss. He has a solo classic and a group project classic. Kiss doesn't have either one of those, in my estimation. Although I have some Locks projects rated very, very high, and I have some of his solo stuff rated high. But he don't have no Daytona, and the Locks don't have no Hell Hath No Fury. The bars are comparable. Wouldn't that give Pusha the edge over even Kiss? And people better not run in here and tell me that Wayne is better than Kiss. That's what you better not do.
So people in the group are saying all kind of stuff. Like every other comment, I'm seeing Jada, Push. And Damian Frederick says, I think Push made better albums. Yeah, that has to be the equalizer right there.
That has something to do with it. When you're in the same stratosphere as an MC, because here's the thing, Mike, even with Push and with Kiss, they would be in the Nas Big J conversation had they made multiple classic albums.
You know what Pusha verse is very understated? Well, maybe I just understated, but
a lot of them. It's
a lot of them. But I was listening to the Kanye record. You know what I'm talking about. Runaway, man. His verse on Runaway is
crazy.
I mean, the way it goes with the song. You know what I'm saying? Like this was some thought put into this record.
Yeah.
And even his verse on the Posse cut on there too.
Mike, he had the best verse on Soul Paul. That's what I was
think he
about to go
did have
to.
the best verse on Soul Paul.
Success is what you make it. Take it how it come. A 500,000 20s like $1 billion where I'm from. An arrogant drug dealer, the legend I become. CNN said I'd be dead by 21. Blackjack, I just pulled an ace. You looking at the king in his face. Everything I dream, motherfucker, I'm watching it take shape. While to you, I'm just a young rich nigga who lacks faith. Range Rover, leather roof, love war, fuck a truth. Still move a bird like I'm in bed with Mother Goose. The folks coming in a baker's dozen, claiming they was with me when they know they really wasn't. I keep the city's best, never said she was the brightest. So if you had a two, it ain't affect me in the slightest. I never met a bitch that didn't need a little guidance, so I dismiss her past till she disappoints her highness.
Yeah, what? He had the best verse on there.
That's what Jay, Kanye, and Sci-Hi on the record, and he clearly had the best verse. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we gotta give it. Yo, man, and then
he's a monster, Mike. He's a monster. I told you, he's a modern day Cool G Rap on the mic, except for he makes better albums than Cool G Rap.
We gave you Bobby Brown, y'all. Listen, I remember.
Good night. That's when it was over, Mike.
Yo, what was that Pharrell mixtape, the Gangsta Grill that he did back in the day, right before In My Mind was coming out, and they jumped on incarcerated Scarface, and so he was like, 22 niggas, two to a car, 11 flagships with the 3-point star. The only other ballers is them 3-point stars. We only 5'9", they think we point guards. No jumper, still at the top of the key. No wonder. It's selling like the deuce for the threes, Air Jordans. Come on, man. I was like...
You got so many verses like that. The verse on Keys Open Doors. Let your screen crawl. Press one button. Let the wind fall. Who gonna stop us? Fuck the coppers. The mind of a kilo shopper. Seeing my life through the windshields of choppers. I ain't spend one rap dollar in 3 years. Holla. Money's my bitch. Drug the leash by a dog collar. Now ho follow.
We got New God Flow in the chat, too. You remember his verse on New God Flow? Which one?
Yo, Mike, man. Which one? I believe there's a God above me. I'm just the king of everything else. I put holes in everything else. New God Flow, fuck everything else. Mike, the second verse is actually better.
Yo, man.
What's the circus without you clown niggas? What?
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it. He say it's 1,000 times. No, he said 1,000%. He thinks this album is better than Daytona. And if he thinks this album's better than Daytona and that confident, I'm looking forward to hearing it.
Two-door preference, Top Gone, George Jefferson.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
All right. Wayne better than that? You niggas think Wayne better than that?
Wayne ain't better
than him. That's not a conversation like you think.
Nah, Wayne ain't better than him, man.
Y'all need to stop that.
But yeah, all right, so...
Y'all need to stop that.
Okay, well, I guess we can get to these top 5 storytelling songs all time. So somebody was asking me, or asking us the other day, who our top 5 storytelling MCs, and we kind of gave them a short list, man. We just rattled it off. I know my top 5 storytelling MCs is Scarface, Ghostface, Nas, Biggie, Slick Rick. And then,
Mike, hold on real quick. Ahead. I have the same people, but I had to change my order about the list that I made today because I realized some things. So it's the same 5 people, but I got Nas at number 1. I got Scarface at number 2. I got Ghostface at number 3. I got Slick Rick at number 4, and I got Big at number 5. But I got reasons why I moved Slick Rick and Big down and moved Ghostface and Scarface up.
Okay. Well, I guess I must have convinced you otherwise. I don't know.
Well, one thing I realized is that Big is the only person in here, once again, with a brevity of stories. All these other guys have multiple stories to choose from. You don't have a lot of big stories to choose from, but what you have to choose from is pretty epic and comparable to the other guy's best stuff. And so I'm going to still put him in there because those stories are still captivating. Slick Rick has an album worth of stories, but after that, if you really want to get into the nuances of like how great the stories are, what you'll find is that Ghostface and Scarface over the course of their career have crafted more stories that are comparable to the joints that are on the greatest adventures of Slick Rick.
Well, what I will say about Slick Rick opened up a door and showed a lot of the next generation of MCs what was possible when it came to storytelling MC-wise.
He's like the Melly Mel of storytellers.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah.
And Melly Mel's verse on The Message is what opened the door for conscious hip hop, really.
It's still one of the best verses ever, too, Mike.
Well, I don't even want to say just the verse, the whole song. You know what I'm saying?
The
Like
song,
that whole song is,
but that first and that second verse, that's still some of like the best rap stuff that you'll find. If you're talking about like content, lyrics, delivery, impact, voice, like he was ahead of his time. Yeah, he's ahead of his time.
All right, so yeah, Complex just recently had Ghostface on their couch, and they were talking about the bracket. I actually filled out this bracket. Coop filled out this bracket too. But Ghostface ended up saying that Rewind by Nas was the best storytelling song of all time. This is how the bracket shaped out. I got the bracket on the screen right now, Coop. I don't know if you're looking at it. But they had Impossible going against A Good Day. Nah, it's all good. You seen it earlier, though. They had Impossible by Wu-Tang going against Ice Cube's Today's a Good Day. I had Today's a Good Day on that one. Did you agree with that? All right.
Yep. I had Good Day over Impossible, too.
All right,
you want to get into why? Because some people may argue with us about that. What's your why?
My why on there, I just think is, collectively from beginning to end, Today Was a Good Day. It's just a better song as far as like, storytelling going. And just, we remember so many nuances of that story. And I think it's one full song as opposed to one verse.
That's my thing. So Ghost verse is better, but that song is better. And Mike, that's actually one of the most important songs in rap history on the low because of the visual aid provided. Because what you were hearing, you visualized, and then he gave you the actual visual, and it coincided perfectly. It's one of his best songs. It's one of rap's best songs. It's just it's like a masterful moment. Like,
I mean, we all know what happened in that day. Like, who'd the Lakers beat?
The Supersonics, Mike.
Most definitely. Everyone knows that.
We already know. That's what I mean about how it's iconic, low key. It's like, Mike, I even remember the video when he getting up in the morning and going to the sink and like, yeah. It's too iconic. It's too iconic for Impossible.
All right, so we got Renee versus Outkast's Artist Storytelling Part 1, and that's Renee by Lost Boys. I picked Renee over that. I think it's a very impressive, song, Artist Storytelling by Outkast, but yeah, as far as storytelling, I think Renee's top notch. And then we got Niggas Bleed going against Undying Love by Nas. Niggas Bleed is Biggie's song, of course. I put Niggas Bleed over that.
Yeah. Like Nas, okay, so the reason I have Nas at number 1 all-time storytellers, because he literally has a storytelling greatest hits list that I'm going to get to in a minute. But Undying Love would be like at the bottom, like 5 of the 14, 15 records I wrote down. It's not even one of his 10 best stories.
We're going to get to that too once we go through this thing, because again, these are just the options that Complex had on their site. And,
I don't know why they chose that as an option. That's not even the best option from that album. Small World's a better story.
Yeah. Midget Mike said, I can't believe Lost Boys Renee went that far. Well, that's just on my list, but I'll explain mine.
Hold on. What's wrong? Renee by the Lost Boys actually has the rare distinction of being one of the best rap songs ever, one of the best love rap songs ever, and one of the best storytelling rap songs ever. It's a tour de force of a song. No.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how high I held this record until, I started doing this.
I told you, Mike, it's one of like the top 3 or 4 like hip hop love songs ever. Like, it's high.
And on the other side, they had Stan versus A Children's Story. I got A Children's Story on that.
Not beating that record.
They set you up, Eminem. They set you up. And then
for failure. Set you up for
See,
failure.
I didn't. You would think I put that together, right?
You want to know what's
That was
crazy? You know,
complex.
if you watch it, Ghost was picking Stan. Ghost picked Stan over Children's Story. That's what some of the most surprising shit that I've ever seen. Ghost picked Stan over Children's Story. Ghost picked Stan over a few records on there. Stan made it far on Ghost shit.
Don't give the Stans even more ammunition. I don't even want to acknowledge that.
Mike, Ghostface Killer and Cool G Rap seem to think that this guy can rap. So
they're in the industry, man. They have to say
Ghost. No. Ghost don't got to say that. See, those dudes don't have to say that. That's why I'm saying that. Those dudes don't have to play those type of games.
They have their opinion. And listen, this is what I will say about Stan. I don't want to sound like I'm just glossing over Stan,
He
hating on
made
Eminem.
Supreme Clientele and Iron Man. He
Listen,
thinks Stan is dope.
I feel
that
you.
means something.
But see, no, it doesn't. See, I think that's where
Yeah,
you and I
it
differ.
does. He's
This
got
is where
taste.
you and I
he
differ.
made Supreme Clientele
No,
and Iron Man. The man has taste.
I don't care. I'm sorry. Like, I like your music, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with your opinion on music. So, I mean, look, I don't care if Rakim tells me that Eminem's the God. I mean,
talked about Rakim and Nas.
Listen, that's great for them. That's great for them.
He said he'd be asking them questions about what they be doing. He'd be asking them what's the recipe.
No, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? No, I feel that. But the days of me sitting there just going along with everything or trying to agree with what one of my heroes says, I guess I'm just grown enough in the culture to disagree. It means nothing to me. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
Mike, in Marvel Comics, there are a lot of superheroes and everybody gravitates towards certain superheroes. All I'm saying is that your favorite superhero was out here picking Stan. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I disagree with him wholeheartedly, and I would debate him like I'm debating you. But this is what I will say about Stan.
Ghost likes details, and Stan is detail-oriented. Ghost likes details. That's why he loves Nas so much.
I think Stan is I think it's a decent record. I think it's slightly overrated.
It's more than a decent record, thoa, Mike. That's what I'm saying. See, this is where you
Somebody
get shady.
just said, look, Mr. Buck said Stan Video made the song decent. Listen,
why are you pulling from that comment? Why don't we pull Ghostface Killer's comment up?
I could do that. I'll have to go back and pull it up.
Wallets,
What exactly did Ghost say about
Fish Scale, Iron Man, Supreme Clientele. Think he knows a little bit.
Miss Mo made a good point. Nas made Stan iconic. I agree.
He did icon. Yeah.
He did.
Get her off of here. Whoever said that, get them off of here.
Terminator 2 says Miss Mo. Facts. Yeah, okay. All right.
Terminator, why are you doing this?
Brenda's Got a Baby against Meet the Parents. Jay didn't even stand a chance on that. We got Brenda's Got a Baby. Rewind.
Shame on them, Mike. That's payola even putting Meet the Parents in there. That has no business in there.
Wait a minute. Is Meet the Parents Jay-Z's best storytelling song?
It is, and that's the only reason it's in there. But his best storytelling song doesn't measure up because there's not a Scarface song.
I was just about to say.
Is there a Scarface song in here?
No, I agree with you. But what I was going to say is I think that Jay-Z shouldn't have a song in the storytelling bracket.
Because he's not a storyteller.
He's not.
So that's politics.
They forced him in there.
Politics as usual.
Okay, so Rewind.
You gotta put Jay in there. It's Jay.
Rewind versus I Got a Story to Tell. That's interesting, but I got Rewind. They got Ghostface Maxine versus Miss Fat Booty by Mos Def. I picked Miss Fat Booty.
Shame on them for doing that.
Yeah,
Shame on them for doing that to Ghost.
Cool.
While Ghost is sitting there. Why would you do that to Ghost with Ghost sitting there?
Now this is interesting right here. Today Was a Good Day versus Renee. I picked Renee.
I picked A Good Day.
I'll tell you why I picked Renee over Today's a Good Day. I picked Renee because I felt like it had a better beginning, middle, and end. I think if you want to talk about what a story is supposed to do and grab you, I think that it did a better job of that than Today Was a Good Day. I think it wasn't a great resolution, but like I said, it read like a book, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? It had a beginning, middle, and end. And I think that with the flow of the song being what it was, I think it just did a better job as a storytelling song. Now, I think Today Was a Good Day was a better song, but I think that Renee's a better storytelling song, if that makes sense.
You sound like my high school English teacher, Angela Brathwaite, right now. Well, it has a beginning and a middle and an end, Armand.
It does.
And if you look at the nuances of the story is actually told better. And that's how you tell a story. Yeah. But you just said Ice Cube's It Was a Good Day is a better song.
But we're talking about storytelling. So I don't know why we're having this
conversation. So I don't know
why
we're
talking about storytelling songs.
So hold on. So the qualifier is that it's a storytelling song, correct? And so what is the better storytelling song?
You want me to keep it real? Because on the other side,
What else do we do?
I got a
Isn't it what we
story.
do?
No, I'm gonna keep it real. On the other side, I got a story to tell. Is a better song than Rewind, but Rewind is a better storytelling song than I got a story to tell.
I find Rewind to be both. Although, how about this,
No,
Mike? I'm
no,
going to tell
it's
you
not
something.
a better song than I got a story to tell. It's not.
No, Mike, I was about to say something. I like I Got a Story to Tell more than Niggas Bleed.
Me
and
too.
It's still not better than Rewind to me.
It's a better song. The Rewind song is not a quote unquote great song.
Yes, it is.
No, it is because of how great the story is. It's a better storytelling song.
Mike, he's rapping backwards.
I understand what you're saying.
You're not gonna find a higher level of entertainment value.
Again, have you been out and somebody throw on Rewind? People throw on I Got a Story to Tell all the time. It's a better song.
Is this Who Rocks the Party? Is that what this is about? Very problematic.
It's a better song. I hear I Got a Story to Tell in the mix all the time. It's just
I give the beat's better, but that's the only thing that's better. The story not better, the rhyme not better, the concept not better, the delivery's not better. Nothing else about the record is better except
I think the
beat.
delivery's better.
Mike, he's talking backwards.
I understand what you're saying.
What are we talking about?
I heard the song.
We're talking about a guy talking forwards versus a guy talking backwards.
I understand what you're saying.
What you think is harder delivery-wise to pull off?
We're not talking about degree of difficulty. We're talking about how sonically it comes through.
I'm saying his delivery is precise and on point.
It's incredible. But again, Mike, it's more about...
Mike, if somebody's delivery is on point and precise while they're talking backwards...
It's so hard to debate with you against
Big
Nas.
Talking forward. Okay, Mike, all right.
It's so hard
to debate. We're going to have to agree to disagree. No, we're going to have to agree to disagree. Because I don't agree at all. A little bit. And Mike, and here's how much I love I Got a Story to Tell. I took a sample from I Got a Story to Tell and recorded a whole track and told a story around a snippet that I took from that song that I never released on my second album. So, I love that record. I pulled from that record, and it's still not better than Rewind.
Listen.
Still.
I think that, if we're naming top hip-hop songs of all time, I Got a Story to Tell will come up before Rewind. But I think Rewind's a better storytelling record. Now, I guess we're looking at this in two different ways. I think that It Was a Good Day is a better song than Renee. But I think that Renee is a better storytelling record. All right. Niggas Bleed in the Kendrick Lamar Master Splinter starter. We got Niggas Bleed on that. And on the other side, there was a children's story, and you got Brenda's Got a Baby. That's interesting. I still got a children's story.
Fascinating, but yep.
Yeah.
Worth talking about, but not for long.
Then you got Rewind and Most Definitely Fat Booty. I got Rewind. Again, if we had a conversation of best hip hop songs, these results would be slightly different.
No, hold on. If you mean best hip hop songs released as a single, then yes, slightly different. If we're talking best hip hop songs, no.
Just like what we covered when we had our best hip hop songs, they damn near have to be singles. They do. We can't just be picking album songs. But
this ain't that, so you don't
because because it's like you have to have a qualifier, and singles have way more qualifying attributes than album songs. They just do.
I'm just qualifying that this nigga rapping backwards better than most people be rapping forwards.
He's incredible.
That's what I'm qualifying. Rap better backwards. Most guys rap forward. Can't rap forward like that. He rapping backwards like that. Next.
All right, so I ended up picking Renee over Niggas Bleed. What did you do with Today is a Good Day versus Niggas Bleed?
I took Niggas Bleed, but I didn't feel comfortable doing it.
Let's talk about that. You think Niggas Bleed is a better storytelling song than Today Was a Good Day?
Mike, can I say something about Niggas Bleed right quick? It's slightly overrated. And I don't want to say that and throw up a whole big alarm I don't love Niggas Bleed. But when people talk about Niggas Bleed, you would think that it was the best rap storytelling song ever. And I'm like, no, it's top. Where do I have it? It's top 15, Mike.
You know what? There's one song that they left out that Terminator brought up in the
I
chat.
told you, Mike, I got a story to tell. Is actually more enjoyable and lyrically to me better.
I like it better too.
And also too, Mike, Somebody Gotta Die is actually a more compelling and startling ending than Niggas Bleed. And niggas love the ending than Niggas Bleed. I'm like, Somebody Gotta Die got a better ending.
I agree. All right. This is what I was gonna say.
Slightly overrated.
Listen, this is what I was gonna say. They're telling
that's
you
about to start all kinds of shit, especially with this Biggie
they're
picture hanging on my wall.
They're telling you to turn your mic off right now.
Right, I told you. What I say? It's about to start all types of shit.
Yeah, Jermaine Young said, "Nigga, what? Listen."
Yeah, nigga, what I said. So, Mike, we want to get into the inspiration.
Hold on, real quick. I was gonna ask about. I Used to Love It was left off. Where does that fit in the grand scheme of storytelling, hip hop records? Because I kind of left it off, and I'm thinking maybe I should have included it.
I feel that way too. Of all the records I went through, it's like, you want to know what? It feels so hip hop. You almost forget that he is telling a story. On it, truthfully, because it feels so hip hop, like organically. So that's a very good comment. That's a better comment than telling me to cut my mic off. We about to talk about Niggas Bleed.
I mean, is there anything?
Mike, hold on, Mike. No. Let's talk about Niggas Bleed.
But why did you? All right, if you feel like it's slightly overrated, why did you pick it over Today Was a Good Day?
Oh, when I say it's slightly overrated, I'm talking about how people talk about it. I'm not talking about rating the song in terms of how epic it is. It's one of the best rap songs ever. It's one of the best rap storytelling songs ever. But people talk about, how about this? In terms of talking like that on a record and telling a story, Mike, like, it's more comparable to Spot Rushers to me than the setup. Like, it's super entertaining. It's dope. The beat that I Got a Story to Tell is better, and he's lyrically better on I Got a Story to Tell. Somebody Gotta Die got a better ending. I can go within his own catalog on the same damn disc and show you that. Tell me the beat that I Got a Story to Tell with the fucking mahogany loop that they took, which is the James Brown loop that they took, ain't fucking doper beat the Niggas Bleed.
I mean, Mike, I just made that same argument with Rewind, but yeah, you're preaching to the choir.
Mike, no. Let's go to the setup right quick by Nas. Every time I hear Niggas Bleed, it's like, oh, he listened to the setup and Shootouts off It Was Written. That's part of how I rate Niggas Bleed like that, because it came out a year after those epic songs. When I hear Niggas Bleed, I'm like, that's his response for the setup, which I find the setup and Niggas Bleed to be comparable records, as in, the setup isn't Nas's best storytelling record. So when y'all are talking about Niggas Bleed like it's Big's best storytelling record, I'm like, I don't know. It's more like the setup.
What about Black Steel and Hour of Chaos? Because that was left out too.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's on my top 20 list, actually.
We getting heavy.
No, that actually made the back end of my top 20.
Why was Warning not there? I'd rather see Warning there than Niggas Bleed, personally.
Warning is Warning technically a story?
Yeah.
Mike, Warning is better than Niggas Bleed. Yeah. All day, every day. Because how about this? This is what I mean. And so I want cats to think about it like this too. Even when I'm talking about how great the story is, I think about if you're going to that album, how quick are you going to that song?
Right. No.
Because that's what I'm saying about Big on Life After Death on disc 1. It's like, you're more likely to go to I Got a Story to Tell than Niggas Bleed. Stop playing with me. It's not even the best story on that album. So how can it be the best rap song? How can it be the best rap story ever? And niggas treat it like it's the best rap story ever when it's not even the best rap story on his damn album. And so that makes it slightly overrated.
Well, this is the thing. Somebody said, how did Grandmaster Flash, the message get left off? Is that a storytelling record? I guess so.
I guess is the whole of. I mean, I haven't listened to the record.
It doesn't all come together, but it's all individual
stories. Because I know it's a great visual aid in terms of descriptively how he's describing the New York streets. But is it an actual story? Because I think one of the verses is a story.
Love's Gonna Get You.
I got Love's Gonna Get You on my top 20. Love's Gonna Get You on my top 20.
Okay, well, let's get to your. Let me get to my list, because I'm adding stuff on my list as we go that I didn't consider, because I Used to Love Her. I was like, damn, how did I leave that
I'm going to have to rework some things too, because I don't have I Used to Love Her or Warning in there. And those are great calls.
Those are great calls. Mind Playing Tricks, I'm sure you got on there. Well, I ended up
That's top 10.
having a children's story and Renee in the finals, and I had a children's story winning that. I mean, you guys can go on Complex and do your own bracket, but again, these are the songs that they had to choose from. I don't think Undying Love was a great one to have to pull from Nas. I agree with you on the Niggas Bleed. That should have been Warning. I don't think that Outkast even should have had a record on there. I don't think
I
that
agree with
Meet the
that too.
Parents should have been on there. Because I know somebody earlier in the chat, I guess they just saw the title of the show, said that Andre 3000 is one of the best storytellers in hip hop. But I'm like, based on what?
Based on what?
I mean, as great as Outkast is, they didn't really tell stories like that. I mean, when it was time to do so, they were able to do so. But I mean, shit, I look at what Big Boy did on West Savannah a little bit more, than anything Dre did.
It's more of a descriptive narrative that you typically don't get from them, yes.
All right, well, this is what I had. Top 5 storytelling songs all time, right? I got a children's story at number 1. I think it is the best hip-hop story ever in song format.
We agree.
Yeah, if there was somebody who was like, yo, what hip-hop song, like they never heard hip-hop at all, and was like, look, give me the blueprint of storytelling, I'm going there. Because it's a dope song, shit. Even when Montel Jordan recycled it for This Is How We Do It, that's even a classic. This was one of those songs that everybody knew the words to, from beginning to end. Rewind, I had number 2.
Mike, that's crazy. I got Rewind number 2 as well.
Because I think the Rewind is just, just so the execution and the creativity, it's next level. It's one thing to say that, I mean, because clearly he went out there and was inspired by Memento, a movie that came out around that time where the story was told backwards. It's one thing to see that and say, that would be dope, but to actually execute it in the way that he did, as flawless as he did, where you actually understood what was going on, next level. After that, man, I got Scarface, Never Seen a Man Cry. That's where I went with Scarface. I had a few options with Scarface. I thought about A Minute to Pray, A Second to Die, which was it was a little bit more cinematic. Obviously, Mind Playing Tricks on Me. There's a lot going on in that song. I think that's one of the greatest hip hop songs ever. But if we're just talking about strictly story, I went Never Seen a Man Cry because, that shit is just chilling, man. And you feel every fucking word of that record.
So we have a slight difference. First of all, 3 Scarface records, or 3 records that Scarface wrote, made my top 10 of best stories ever, which is why I bumped him up to number 2 when I realized how epic his best of his best was. I got All That I Got Is You third, though, Mike, by Ghostface, because you want to know what? I remembered something that I didn't listen to the song today. That's the first rap song that I ever heard that made grown men around me cry when they heard the record. And Mike, I'm going to tell you exactly where I was. I was on West Boulevard in Boulevard Homes when me and my homeboy Tremaine played that for his older brother Rope and all the homies in the room. And there was about 8 of us in the room. And most of the dudes in that room ain't the type of dudes you play with. You feel me, Mike? And after we got done playing that record, I'm talking, that's the type of record that had the types of dudes that you ain't never seen in tears and walking out of the room to call their mother. I had never seen or felt anything like that since. And I'm sitting in a room with some of the toughest niggas I've ever seen in my life, even to this day. And by the time that record it got done playing, dudes was quiet. Like the room was quiet, Mike. We in the projects, like the room was quiet. And one nigga was like, I'm going home to go hug my mama. Another dude was like, I'm going downstairs to use Tremaine mama phone to call my mama right now, nigga. It was like that. And so it's a moment because
it's Dear Mama a storytelling record.
Right. Well, part of why it resonated, Mike, is because if you come from that struggle that he's talking about in that record, it touches you in a way that almost makes the record hard to listen to once you become removed from it. Because it's one of those reminder records, too, that it's like, oh, no, I know exactly what Fam talking about.
Oh, no, definitely. I was going to ask you, man, is Dear Mama a storytelling record too.
I didn't consider it to be total a storytelling record because he's kind of doing what him and Nas do a lot. He's being nostalgic and weaving a story in sometimes with it. Him and Nas have a lot of records like that where there's a story within the format of the song, but not the totality of the song.
All right. I got all that I got as you.
I would have Dear Mama at number one if that's the case, even over a children's story.
I'm with you on that. I got all that I got as you at 4. And you know what? Let me go back to Never Seen a Man Cry. I mean, just again, kind of like with the Nas and Rewind. I never at that point really heard rappers speak about, you know, the afterlife and things in that way and in that perspective. I mean, Scarface has done it throughout his career, but it was just chilling in the execution of it all. And back then when Scarface used to walk around with that top hat where it was like almost Grim Reaper like, you know, it was, I had never seen, I mean, because you always, I mean, obviously Ghostface is top notch when it comes to his description and how he executes and how emotional he gets on the mic. So his execution is different, but subject wise, you've heard people talk about the struggle. You've heard people talk about, you know, things in that nature, even Wu. But we've never seen a man cry. I've never heard an MC execute on something to that degree. And it was a hit too. Yeah, someone said Never Seen a Man Cry was a hit too. Yeah. And it's crazy that a song like that would even be a hit. And with the video, since we're sitting here adding videos in there when we talk about Eminem and Stan, when you see the video and you see this man, basically his life is, you know, going away on screen, like that shit is like, whoa, what did I just watch? And the song just goes with all of it. It's incredible. If Eminem made that song, people would say it's the greatest song ever made.
Absolutely. I will agree with you on that. Mike, here's what I will say to that record. Because I did pick a Scarface record at number 4, but I did not pick that record because I went and listened to the other record today, and I feel like he was just more cinematic, and it's deeper and it's darker, though it's not a single. But have you ever seen somebody's breakout single be something like Never Seen a Man Die? Like Never Seen a Man Die and Get At Me Dog are the two most, like, to me, like outlier, like groundbreaking records for artists that you'll find, because it's like, well, shit like that usually don't fly.
I feel like that about Through the Wire and Cell Therapy, too.
Through the Wire and Cell Therapy is more aesthetically pleasing initially than those two records that I just named. Cell Therapy
has a great hook.
Right, that's what I mean about more aesthetically pleasing. Like you get drawn in by that hook, and that beat is just kind of eerie enough that you're kind of interested. Get At Me Dog is like, what are they doing? And it's like, Never Seen a Man Die is just like, okay, like this the tone is being set for this album. And Mike, and what's crazy about it, Never Seen a Man Die is the appropriate tone for the diary.
It
is. The appropriate tone being set by a single for a classic gangster rap album. It's like the most appropriate single ever because it actually gets deeper and darker than that on the diary, which...
I'm cool with my top 4. Now at 5, man, I had Renee floating around, and then I got... I used to love her floating around. Black Still in the Hour of Chaos floating around.
Well, hold on, Mike, because we're going to give Faith some more flowers because I got A Minute to Pray and A Second to Die as my number 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got the same artist at 3 and 4. We just picked different records, and I'm pretty sure you got A Minute to Pray, A Second to Die. That's probably going to be the next Face record that you would mention. Mm-hmm. But I listened to it the day, Mike, and then I look at the time that it was being made, Mike. Yeah. I mean, and you could actually say that at the point that it got made, it was the second best rap story that you had ever heard, ever clearly next to a children's story. And think about how drastically different that record is on every level for you to be able to say that. And that's why I put it over a Never Seen a Man Die. I actually think it's better lyrically. I think it's more intense. I think it's more cinematic.
Terminator 2 says that Renee is overrated. Why do you feel that way? Because, you know...
Mike got overplayed, but not overrated.
It's one of those songs that, again, I think the execution's there, the results was there. Look, the Lost Boys was hot when not Benzo Beamer, I'm talking about Cass. Lex Coops, Beamers, and Benz came out. I mean, Renee was next, but I think Renee is one of those crossover singles for a group that you didn't think had a crossover single in them. It's a crossroad like thing.
See, I thought they were kind of that anyway, because I thought Jeep's Lex, like I thought that record was kind of like party anthem ish.
It was,
like it was,
but Renee was something else though. I feel like
Renee was something else.
Yeah, I think that Let's Coops, Beamers, and Benz was still the streets.
Yeah, that was a hit on some rap shit still, but it was like kind of party inspired.
Yeah, definitely. Music Makes Me High was like some, still street shit. But Renee was like, we're a little bit deeper than this.
Yeah, no. Cheeks hit a lick with that one. Okay.
So you got Renee. Yeah, but you know what? I will say this. I will concede to the fact that it probably ain't the best story told or the best executed, because, when you put it up against a Black Steel in an Hour of Chaos or I Used to Love Her or Warning, it's hard to say that. But see, Mr. Cheeks isn't the MC that these guys are.
So that's your number 5?
I don't know what my number 5 is, man. I want to say my number 5 is I Used to Love Her, but I think I might go Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos as my number 5. I got a letter from the government the other day.
Mike, Black Steel. Okay, so I guess it's all about how you weigh things. Do you want to know what I had at number 5?
What's that?
I gave you Power.
I gave you Power was incredible. And I'm surprised that they didn't have it in that bracket.
Because if you go to I Used to Love Her and Black Steel, like lyrically, he's just blowing everybody.
Well, he's Nas.
Right, and that's him at his lyrical finest, and he's telling a story at his lyrical finest, and it's a metaphor on top of that.
I get it.
So I guess the hip hop purist in me probably enjoys listening to I Used to Love Her or Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos, but to the people that think those records are better, I understand that what you would be telling me is that a Nas record where he's using a metaphor with him as a gun, when he's at his lyrically sharpest over a DJ Premier beat, like you gonna tell me I Used to Love Her and Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos is better? Because I'm gonna tell you that you're being more nostalgic than you are weighing it on a proper scale.
Well, this is the thing. I think that pen game and on a creative storytelling level, Nas is probably the most creative storyteller hip hop's ever seen.
And this is his most creative moment, or second most creative moment.
I think Rewind is definitely his most creative moment.
So here's why this is his most creative moment.
I enjoy Mike,
it's his most creative.
I enjoy Blazer 50 and Shootouts and the setup more than I do I Gave You Power. Not saying that they're
more entertaining. Yeah. They're more entertaining records, but that's because the subject matter isn't as heavy. But why I say I Gave You Power is his most creative record is that he clearly pulled Rewind from the movie Memento. Like, so creatively, I Gave You Power is more innovative, even though a lot of people feel like he was pulling from main sources, Looking at the Front Door.
I was going to say, no, there was a record on the main source.
Yeah, Looking at the Front Door.
It wasn't Looking at the Front Door. Hold on. It'll come to me in a minute.
Was it? You're right, it's not Looking at the Front Door, but there's a record on there where they talk about being the gun, right?
Yep. No. You're thinking about the group that Pharoah Monch was in.
Organized Confusion.
Organized Confusion did that before.
Right.
So yeah,
right.
I mean, and usually when we get on lives, I have brain farts. You know what I'm saying? Because you're on live and you're going. So
yeah, we're live.
We know what we're talking about, but yeah. So that was kind of. I don't want to say that was pulled from that. I don't know, but I'm sure Nas heard that record. So
yeah, of course he's ahead.
It is what it is.
But like lyrically, the execution is too high and too strong on the first, second, and third verses. Low key, one of his best hooks is Primo on the track. It really has no flaws. I mean, I find it to be like it's not the best record on It Was Written, but it's one of those things that make It Was Written a classic for me.
I feel you. And again. I
got Never Seen a Man Die at number 6 though, so I was arguing between those two songs. But Mike, those verses, like he's too lyrically above and beyond. Like, and while he's telling a story, always I'm in some shit. My abdomen is the click, the barrel's my dick, uncircumcised, pull my skin back and cock me. I bust off when niggas unlock me. Results for what happened from niggas shot me. Stunningly, I see niggas running from me in fear. Yeah, like, he's just, yeah.
Unknown Name says he was a bullet, not a gun on the Organized Confusion record. You know what?
Okay.
Unknown Name is definitely Jay-Z out there, from the burner account.
Somebody definitely on the burner who know they shit, though.
Pharaoh Much, is that you?
I hope, look. I hope it's not Jay about them Foxy comments we've been making.
Yeah, Foxy is being ignored, and that ain't cool. Anybody should know that,
We not about to have that shit, though. So you're going to have to deal with whatever that you was doing when she was a minor.
Organized Confusion is a stray bullet. So, yeah, that record was what it was. And I think that that's just hip-hop evolving and somebody taking something like, okay, I see what they did there. Let me take it to that next level. I'm with you on I Gave You Power. I'm just going to be perfectly honest. I just never have been a super fan of the record. It's a great record, but it's not one of my go-tos.
But man, everybody that says that, it's like, okay, so tell me what the record's missing, though.
It's not missing anything. It's not missing anything. It's just something about it. It's like, I think, you know what? I'm going to be honest. Especially for a premiere track, I'm not a huge fan of the beat like that. I'm not.
It's one of his more understated tracks. It's almost like it's almost like it's one of the few Primo beats you have to tell people Primo did the beat.
Yeah. I don't feel like the beat is, and again, I don't want to sound like I'm nitpicking or whatever. I'm just being perfectly honest. When I put on It Was Written, it's not one of the 5 or 6 songs I go to. And you know how much I love Silent Murder and shit like that.
Well, that's what Mike. What I was about to tell you is that the beat is actually better. It's better than the beat on Shootouts, though.
Not to me. I mean, I
really. You think the beat on Shootouts is better than I Gave You Power?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I mean, if that's what you like. If you like Trackmasters over Primo, no. If you like Trackmasters over Primo on It Was Written, okay.
Gray says Pac made me and my girlfriend after hearing I Gave You Power. So I mean, even in that
we
sense,
all know that.
though,
yeah.
Even in that sense, though, I mean, I wasn't even trying to leave I Gave You Power out, but it didn't even register when I was asked about, top storytelling songs. But I agree, it should have been on this complex bracket. Yeah. I'm surprised they didn't have that there as opposed to Undying Love.
Mike, they could at least have Blaze of 50 on there.
Well, they're probably not going to put Blaze of 50 on there. That's like...
They put Niggas Bleed on there.
I don't know why Niggas Bleed was on there over Warning either.
No, Mike, you make it. The Warning comment might be the best comment of the show. Like, we all missed Warning.
What about One Love?
Is that a whole story, though? Because it's 2 different stories.
What up, kid?
Sometimes I sit back with a Buddha sack. Mine's in another world. Mike, he does the same thing on New York State of Mind. Pick the Mac up, Toe Brothers back up, the Mac split. But then the second verse, he's on some other shit. Him and Pac be doing that. They'll tell you a whole story, and then they'll riff into some other shit. I actually named some tracks where he's doing it. Because he got like another 10 songs that are great where he's telling a story within the song, but it's not a full story.
Yeah, K. Thompson just asked, what about One Love? But I'm sure you just answered that.
Yeah. It's 2 different stories. It's like, which story are you talking
about? Murder Was the Case.
I love Murder Was the Case.
We have ranted and raved about Murder Was the Case on this show before, too.
Fresh about my coma. Got my mama and my baby and my
daddy. Everybody knows what happened in that story.
Yeah.
And then he gets up and walks around. Yeah, Murder Was the Case.
Need to walk again and talk again, but anyway.
I tell you what, on this complex bracket, Murder Was the Case definitely should have been there over the artist storytelling, and I'm a huge Outkast fan.
Mike, it should have been over Meet the Parents. And Niggas Bleed, Mike.
And I'm going to say something controversial here on this mic. Murder Was the Case should have been on there over Stan. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. I don't care what Ghostface says.
No, Mike, that ain't controversial. I'll give you that. No.
Ghostface, holla at me, man. Let's debate this whole Stan and Murder Was the Case thing.
Mike, they hitting us with most stuff. They just hit me with something else that didn't make my list, and I should have Murder Was the Case on my list, yeah.
What else you got on your list?
Got Never Seen a Man Die on the list. The stuff that you already know, I got a story to tell.
You said you got tricks. 20.
Yeah, I do. You named some of them. Black Steel and the Hour of Chaos I had down. Niggas Bleed is down here. Shootouts is down here. Mind Playing Tricks on Me.
Oh, somebody brought up a good one for Jay. And I think this one should have been over there on there over Meet the Parents. Song Cry should have been on there over Meet the Parents.
No. Okay. Mona Lisa by Slick Rick.
I was gonna ask you about Mona Lisa. Actually, I was just
Mona Lisa's on here. I got Mona Lisa in my top 10 actually.
You say Song Cry? No, why?
No, it's not better than the records I'm naming. Is Song Cry better than the records I just named?
Shocked on the other end of the phone. We're back on. No, we're giving him points because of who he is.
Right. Is it better than Mahogany by Rakim?
It could be. It could be.
Now the people about to get at you for calling Song Cry better than Mahogany.
No, man, we got Jay-Z in the room. I gotta be right, man. You know.
I don't care. Tell him to do the right thing and make sure Foxy get her flowers since that nigga in the room. Blazer 50 by Nas.
Blazer 50 by Nas. I love Blazer 50.
Mike, The Moment I Feared by Slick Rick.
Somebody mentioned Lil Wayne, Mona Lisa. Yeah, Mona Lisa, Kendrick, and Wayne. 2 people have mentioned that. The Moment I Feared. I would put Song Cry over The Moment I Feared. I love The Moment I Feared. You know who's really influenced by Slick Rick in that way? And when you said The Moment I Feared, I thought about Eminem's record, Brain Damage. Mm-hmm. Reminds me a lot of that. And the characters that Eminem would bring up and all that when he was doing the Slim Shady thing. That is very Slick Rick-esque, and no one ever really makes that connection.
No. Oh, Mike, I got one of my personal favorites, the MGM. The MGM is a story, Mike.
It is.
It is. It's a great story. You feel like you ringside with them dudes.
You know what I like better than that? And this might be an unpopular opinion. I love the Hilton.
You're wrong, but okay.
The Hilton is dope.
The Hilton is dope, Mike, but it's not like, you know.
Yo, Ghost was going in, man. He slipped on the soap and all that shit. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I like Shaky Dog off Fish Scale. I don't have it on here, but I just wanted to give that a shout out.
Yeah,
Shaky
somebody
Dog,
mentioned Shaky Dog.
Shaky Dog off Fish Scale to me is Ghost's second best story after All That I Got Is You.
You know, we talk about female MCs a lot on this, and we were talking about giving Foxy her flowers and all of that. What is the best story told on a hip-hop song by a female MC? I got Poor Georgie by MC Light.
I knew you were going to say that because that's the obvious choice, so I'm going to go with a dark horse choice and say Aunt Dot off the Notorious K.I.M.
I like that one. I really like that one. Yeah, I like Aunt Dot. That was a dope song. You know what? The Notorious K.I.M. had its moments. I never realized that album sold that much. That album sold like 5 million. Yeah,
the Notorious K.I.M.'s dope moments are really fucking dope.
I like Aunt Dot. That's a good one.
And Aunt Dot is dope. And that was one of my favorite beats that year too. I love that beat.
Yeah,
it was perfect for her.
That beat was dope.
Yeah,
I'm interested to hear what everybody else got to say in the chat when it comes to that.
That's some head shit too, Mike. If you know Aunt Dot. Like from the Notorious K.I.M., you ahead if you know that record.
Everybody's saying Poor Georgie.
Of course, that's why I picked Aunt Dot, because that's the easy record to go to.
Zion by Lauryn Hill. Is that a rap song? Nah.
She ain't rapping, nigga. Who said that?
Oh, Nonchalant 5 o'clock. I love it. That's a good one.
Yeah. I'll take that. I'll take that. It's not better than what I said, but yeah.
What about Razkaz's Nature of the Threat? Is that a story?
It's more of a thesis and a dissertation.
It's a history lesson.
Right. It's more of a dissertation than it is a story.
Incredible song. I think it's one of the best hip-hop songs ever made when you consider what it does.
That dude teaching my theology class.
It's incredible. And I was going to ask again, like, if we're talking about, let's just say, best hip-hop story in a song, let's say in the 2000s. We'll break it up by decades, right? Because I know a lot of these that we have here are from a certain era. So in the 80s, we're going to go with Slick Rick, A Children's Story. So in the 90s, it looks like it's probably going to be a Scarface or All That I Got Is You or something.
I'm about to say it's looking like a Scarface or a Ghostface record.
So if we're doing the early 2000s, you got Rewind. Now, if we're talking 2010s, best story in a hip-hop song.
I mean, God, would it be Master Shireen? Like was on the Complex list?
Is that Kendrick's best story?
See, I like the art of peer pressure.
I like the art of peer pressure as well.
Me too. I think it's better than Shireen. Like, so it's like even when they put Shireen up, I was like, well, why you put that up over? You know, like, so
not like you like that better than How Much a Dollar Costs?
No, How Much a Dollar Costs is his best story, but it's not gonna make a list like that. That's why I was surprised Undying Love made the list, because it's like one of those album tracks where it's like you really, really got to know the artist.
But what do you think is the best hip hop story told in the 2010s? Is it How Much a Dollar Costs?
For me, I would have to say that's the only one that I can think of that I've been stunned by.
People are saying Sing About Me also.
Hold on. I'm about to say, Mike, it actually would probably all be Kendrick records, because I immediately thought about the art of peer pressure. I thought about How Much a Dollar Costs, and I thought about Duckworth.
Duckworth.
So pick a Kendrick record.
Is it just him? People in the chat, let me know in the 2010s. I don't want to just,
Like, that's why he's up so high.
He's just to be fixated on Kendrick.
Mike, so
I think he's a very underrated
So let's talk about him right quick and how long he's been gone, but why people are still waiting. Well, when we have conversations like this, it becomes clear and apparent that he's the main keeper of the flame.
Ooh,
and that's why people are waiting.
I know this is a subject that we covered like a couple of subjects ago, but somebody said Eve, Love is Blind. That's a good one.
That's a great one.
That's a great one.
That's a great one.
So where does Kendrick fall all time when it comes to storytelling MCs?
I mean, he's up high. He would probably be on the back end of my top 10. He's high. He's like where he is with everything is like where he's supposed to be. Like he's somewhere either in the top 10 with shit or right outside the top 10. Like
okay, so we got Nas, we got in no particular order, Ghostface, Scarface, Biggie,
Slick
Rick, and then where are we going? Ice Cube, Tupac.
Yep.
Is Kendrick a better storyteller than Ice Cube or Tupac?
He's a more detailed storyteller than Ice Cube, not a better storyteller than Tupac.
Why is he not a better storyteller than Ice Cube?
No, I like we can argue about the Ice Cube thing. We're not arguing about the Tupac thing.
No, we're not. No, I'm with you on that. Why is he not a better? So, do you not feel like Tupac was a better storyteller than Biggie? And why?
Ooh.
Because everything that you're probably going to say Tupac over Kendrick, you could probably say the same thing Tupac over Biggie.
You're absolutely right, Mike. So you've given me something to think about because I've always had Biggie as a better storyteller than Tupac. I've always had Big definitely in my top 5 and Pac somewhere right outside. So I got to think about that. Okay. That's one of those things. I'm not going to give you no straight up and down answer right now because especially when you're talking about those two guys, it's like, no, I'm going to give that some weight and think about that and go listen to some more records. But you're making a very valid point.
Because I understand what you're saying about Pac, and I think that's probably, I think Pac's weight when it comes to storytelling kind of delves into that whole Ghostface and Scarface debate, right?
Well, Mike, that's exactly what I was about to say because everything that I was about to say that makes Pac a better storyteller than Kendrick actually makes him a better storyteller than Big too.
Yeah,
the arguments that I was going to make in his favor would be the same arguments I would apply to Big because Kendrick and Big are more lyrical and detail oriented than Pac. Yeah. But you don't feel that shit.
No.
Like you don't feel Kendrick and Big stories the way you feel Pac stories.
Do you think Big's a better storyteller than Kendrick though, right?
Yes.
Why exactly? I'm just asking.
He's just better voice, better delivery, better execution, more detail oriented. Even for his detail oriented is like part of why. Like here's what I will give niggas bleed. Oh, super detail oriented, like on a Nas type level. Today's agenda got the suitcase up in the Centra. Go to room 112. Tell him Blanco sent you.
I think Big was very creative in his writings too. I think that. As a creative writer, I think him and Nas were, somewhere else with it. And I think Kendrick's there too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're creative writers whereas Pac, Scarface, and Ghostface, they're writing from the heart. And you feel
they're writing from the reality of the heart.
Yeah.
These guys, how about this? These guys, like Kendrick, Big, and Nas, are able to take the reality of a moment that somebody has shared with them and craft a whole narrative around it.
Incredible writers.
Right.
Whereas,
Like Big would be at a bar talking to an old big time hustler, and that's where the inspiration from Niggas Bleed would come from. He'd be able to take that convo and go make niggas bleed. You know? Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting, man. And I don't know where Ice Cube fits in all that, but Ice Cube is great with the storytelling as well. So you kind of got Kendrick around 7-ish, sounds like.
Yeah. Like I said, on the back end of my top 10. So yeah, 7, 8, 9-ish.
This is what I will say about Kendrick that's impressive. And I guess we can kind of talk about these thoughts of his album coming too, and then kind of be out. But what is impressive about Kendrick is he is a storyteller in a time in hip hop where storytelling's really not a mandatory thing. It's not even really a thing.
So that's what I mean about, well, this is
like,
one of
what
those
stories
things.
does Drake have?
So when people are like, oh, well, we'll wait as long as forever for Kendrick. So when we're having these real hip hop based conversations, well, here's why. Because when we start getting to this era and we're talking about hip hop, his name usually comes up first, second, and third. He's the keeper of the flame in a lot of ways. And even Ghost said it during the Complex thing. Like, you should watch the Ghost thing. He went into a whole thing of talking about Cole and Kendrick for a minute. He was like, he said he's one of the new guys who inspire me with the pen to go right. He was like him and that's what I'm saying. These, like, those dudes from our era that we came up on, you have to understand, they're in their mid to late 40s now. So when they look at Kendrick and Cole in their 50s. Early 30s, they look at them like fresh and new.
Listen, I think we got to really, I think in hip hop period, and I get it, we got to get past this notion that Kendrick, Cole, and that class are the new guys. These guys have been here 10 plus years. And that's generous.
So, Mike, I'm going to give you something. It's a little bit of food right now, because when Ghost was talking and he was saying that, I realized something. Oh, the head's got a cutoff point. In the Cole and Kendrick thing, oh, that's their cutoff point. They're not settling for less. They're not settling or acknowledging less than that from the craft of MCing. You get what I'm saying? So when Ghost is talking about of the new generation, he's pretty much saying, like, no, like the dudes from my era, we acknowledging Cole and we acknowledging Kendrick, because he's talking about the inspiration to write from the craft of MCing. Because Mike,
but what about Conway and them?
No. I mean, he didn't speak to that. I mean, okay, so Mike, the front man for Griselda sounds like who?
Yeah.
And so he's never really spoken on it, and he's never really said that he's had a problem with it.
I mean, Raekwon works with them all the time. I'm sure they're good.
Mike,
but
Ray and Ghost ain't the same person.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
Ray is a glue guy. Ray is not just the Mike. Ray is to the point. Ray is not just the glue guy for Wu-Tang. Ray is a glue guy for New York.
I think that
the aesthetic ain't the same. Mike, on the Purple Tape album, who talking shit, Ray or Ghost?
Yeah, I feel you. I know. I mean,
you feel me?
That's just what it is. I don't think
he probably not gonna be so quick to shout out Griselda, because the competitor in Ghost is like, yeah, but that's me. He's taking, like, that's new Ghost. Like,
but
he's like,
Conway,
the old Ghost still here.
Not Conway and Benny though.
But same camp, Mike. Ghost competitive. Mike Ghost was competitive with Big. He talking shit about Big when Big is the biggest rapper in the game. You think he care?
I think that I just think for a certain era of MC, Kendrick and Cole is just the talking point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a
Mike, when somebody like Jermaine Dupri
debate.
is talking, Mike, when Jermaine Dupri is talking, it's a talking point. When an MC the caliber of Ghost is talking about them, that's another conversation. When he's saying, I don't get inspired by the new generation, but those guys right there inspire me to write. And specifically referencing Kendrick, no, that means something. That says a lot about how a lot of the crop from that generation and that era may feel too. It's more insightful for how I think people from that era view things than you think. Because Ghost is like, Mike, Ghost, I mean, Mike, is there a more famous skit in the history of rap than that Shark Biter skit?
Well, it's probably be like Woodrow or something. No, I know what you mean though.
Yeah, so like all I'm saying is that like part of what made that skit so famous is because Ghost was the type of nigga even then that wasn't scared to check up on shit.
Well,
You feel me?
I guess what I'm saying is, even with the whole Eminem praise for Stan and stuff, I think that this is one of those things that you get when you're talking to a certain media, right? Like he was on Complex. I'm sure if you and I were having a conversation with Ghost and he was on our show, I think that the conversation of MCing would probably extend further than a Kendrick and Cole
Mike.
conversation. I just do.
No, Mike. He was surprisingly fair. Like he gave Miss Fat Booty the nod. Like when it got the rewind.
He was on that remix though.
And he talked about why he wanted to get on the remix. He even talked about how the beat to Mrs. Fat Booty was better than the beat to Maxine. He's like, it beat killing the beat to Maxine.
It is.
So Ghost was being honest. Like when it got to him and Nas on the rewind thing, he was like, it's over for me.
Yeah.
He's like, it's over for me.
No,
like I'm out right there. He's like, that's where I'm out.
Listen,
right there.
I'm not saying he wasn't being fair. I'm just saying that, you know what I mean? Like, when you're on a mainstream platform, it's a little different, the hip-hop conversations that you're having. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he chose from what was there. But again, if Warning were brought up, if Black Steel in the Hour of Chaos were brought up, Never Seen a Man Cry were brought up, I think they're like, oh, yeah, forget about those things. Because when you're put on the spot, you kind of adjust to the environment you're in, and then when you leave, you're like, oh, man, I forgot this, this, and this. But when an environment's created in a sense where it's like, listen, when it comes to hip-hop right now, and Complex is as mainstream as hip-hop gets, and they do a good job of what they're doing, you're going to bring up Kendrick Cole or Drake in a hip-hop conversation. It's just going to happen.
That's fair. First of all, Drake didn't come up at all.
Of course, but I'm just saying,
But I will say this, and I don't say this too often, Mike. Like, I pretty much stay in my zone. I don't like most of these hip-hop media outlets, and it's not a personal thing. I'm going to go back to that Black Thought shit. Ain't it strange how the newspapers play with the language? So I'm very funny about what I take in. So what I take in, I usually take in via according to hip-hop, or people literally have to shoot me articles directly to me on Instagram or Facebook, or message me or text me if you got my number. But Mike, Complex is the only reputable Main Street hip hop site that I follow.
They do a good job.
And it's because they do a good job. The only one that I follow. I don't follow none of these other rap publications. And so I'm going to give Ghost some credence, and I'm going to give Complex some credence and say they were keeping it as funky as they could possibly keep it.
I mean, that's why we're even doing this segment, because, they did such a really good job on that. And I think that, us being able to cover that spinoff, was definitely needed. And again, even the people in the chat gave us some songs that we left out that
There's tons of songs, Mike. Yeah, there's tons of songs.
There are tons of songs.
like this riff that I went on when I made my 20, I did that off the top of my head, an hour before the show.
Yeah. All right, well, you know what? I think we can close with this. People are counting down the days until a new Kendrick Lamar album drops. It has been, what did they say, 1,638 days or something since Kendrick dropped last. So, looking forward to the new Pusha T. Hopefully the Kendrick drops in this calendar year. I'm going to ask you, I know I've asked you this before, but do you think Kendrick is dropping in 2021, or are we going to get this in 2022?
He needs to drop in this year because it's a great year. Because I'm not going to look at it the same way if he dropped next year. I want to hear that shit this year, and I've said that. That whole 5-year wait thing is cool. And so here's something people need to think about. The last time that an MC this great took this much time off is actually when Rakim took this much time off, Mike.
He was semi-retired.
But he wasn't semi-retired. Don't Sweat the Technique was still a dope album. It just wasn't like his predecessors.
No, you know what I mean? I just think that you're talking about from 92 to 97, right?
Correct.
I think that hiatus was, the group broke up and everything. So he wasn't like a solo act. It's a different kind of break.
No. 5 years off is 5 years off. Yeah. So I'm talking about the stature of it too. But what I'm saying is that, Mike, what really happened to Rakim is that, Pop came along, and Nas came along,
and Big
came along, and Jay came along. And so what I mean when I say I want to hear it this year, oh, he's not even up against it the way Rakim was. Because that's being up against it when you walking back and them dudes are sitting up there walking around. That's being up against it as a legend. He ain't up against it like that. And so I want to see him produce competitively when these other cats are dropping. And the only way I'm going to be okay with his joint dropping next year if Pusha and Conway dropping right after him. Because I want to hear him and I want to talk about his album in relationship to an album that we already know came out this year is great, which is King's Disease 2. He's never had that up against him when he's dropped. There's not one year that he's dropped that there's been an album the caliber of King's Disease 2 that comes out. And so, especially if Pusha T and Conway drop this year, and I'm only okay with it being next year if Pusha and Conway shit going back next year, I want to see what you do with the real comp. You got the catalog,
I think Conway's
you got the
dropping
respect.
this year. I mean, not this year. I think Conway, in my opinion, I think Conway's dropping next week.
Mike, like I said, if Conway and Pusha T are dropping this year, Nas has already made King's Disease 2, I don't want to hear this album next year, and I'm not going to rate it the same. And even if it's great, the first thing that I'm going to say is, well, he didn't drop it up against heavy competition. It's the first thing we're going to talk about.
He's going to drop it at the top of the year if he does that, because obviously he's doing the Super Bowl. I think he's going to drop it at the top of 2022, so he'll be in the lead for album of the year like right away. But
not interested in hearing that shit.
What he will be in danger of is, the year going by and people kind of forgetting about it, because I think at the pace that people are making albums now, people ain't slowing down. A lot of the people that came out this year, they're coming out next year too. I got a feeling that Conway's coming out next week. I saw that Revolt was, they made a post or something that his album was out or coming out and then it was deleted or something. I don't know.
This is rap. This is competitive.
Yeah.
He got heavy competition. He need to drop in a heavy competition year. We don't know what next year look like. We know what this year already looked like. Because here's what I'm saying. Because he's never been in a position he's never been in Nas or Jay's position of like releasing something in a year where some shit's been heavy and your album isn't the album.
Yeah, Gray 8 says Kendrick low-key does drop in weak years. He does.
Yeah. So we gonna call it out because it's a fact. He's dropped every album he's dropped is dropped in a weak year, drop in a strong year.
You're right. I mean, 2017 was a weak year.
Because you smoking on niggas top 5, right? Well, come smoke these niggas then.
Yeah. And you know what? And even if we're talking about this year in the context of quality, he is a mainstream. He's a star. You know what I'm saying? He's somebody that everybody's looking for. Drake and Cole dropped this year. Since that's the conversation, right? You're smoking on top 5s, and the conversation is always Kendrick, Cole, Drake. They all dropped this year. Has he ever dropped in a year where both of them dropped?
Mike, he need to drop this shit. I don't want to hear the whole promotional rollout, all that, because here's the thing of what he really is at the end of the day. Oh, he's Kendrick Lamar. All he has to do is drop the project. So he don't need no promotional run. He don't need no build up. Everybody's already been waiting. You drop this shit in this year while all these niggas is on fire and see where you stand. And you stand on that.
Super Bowl is not to February. He's not dropping this year.
Ain't nobody trying to hit. Hey, Mike, as long as around the time that he's dropping, I see Benny about to drop, Gibbs about to drop, Conway about to drop, Nas on another project, I'm cool. I want him in some comp though.
Yeah.
Because I don't really know how to look at his classics outside of Good Kid, Mad City, because I don't go back and play any of those records, and I have to go back to the thought. It's like, well, that's just the best shit that I heard this year, but it was a weak year.
No,
because I don't go listen to Damn or To Pimp a Butterfly like that. I told you, Mike, I don't listen to them albums like that.
If he would have dropped Damn the same year Daytona dropped, I'm sorry, Daytona's still the album of the year.
That's what I'm saying. I want him to have some comp. Like, Mike, how about this? Some comp would be like if he were to drop Damn last year.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about having comp.
2020 was
multiple
heavy.
albums to choose from, because, like, Alfredo, From a King to a God, Pray for Paris. Oh, no. Now you got some comp.
Pray for Paris is better than Damn.
Yeah, Pray for Paris is better than Damn.
the game has changed, man. It's very different, and I'm interested to hear what Kendrick's gonna put out. You heard that freestyle that he put out there, right? Or supposed freestyle or whatever leaked, right?
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, man, I wasn't impressed. K. Thompson says, but To Pimp a Butterfly came out the first quarter. It's not his fault artists put out weak material. It's true. It's true. But I think that's what he's going to bank on next year, too. I think he's going to go out there in the first quarter and, kind of coast it from there.
All I know is that these last 2 years have been extremely strong, and we've heard nothing from him in a time where he usually releases an album. So,
yeah. All right, well.
I mean, ain't nothing like a great album to shut us up, Mike. Ain't nothing like a great album to shut us up.
I agree with you, man. I've been a naysayer the whole time. I don't know what else to say. I don't think the album's going to be good.
I'm not naysaying. I'm asking him to produce in a competitive and quality year. So part like I weigh things differently. Like for me, like Isaiah Thomas's 2 championships to me are almost like 4 because of what he did to get his rings. You feel me?
And who he went against.
I don't look at it the same. Like Isaiah's 2 rings matter more. Was Isaiah playing with any top 50 players? No. Were them other guys? Yeah. Did he beat those guys? Yeah. Did he do it back-to-back years? Yeah. Was that team on the verge of maybe winning 4 straight titles if it wasn't for a bad pass the year before they won the 2 titles and then an ankle injury the last year? Yeah.
They got cheated.
That shit different.
They got cheated that one year, man. That wasn't a foul. I get it. Lambeer's reputation was what it was, but Lambeer didn't foul Kareem. He shouldn't have been at the line.
Right, so I'm talking about the year before they went on the 2 title run, Mike, that was the year that Bird stole the ball. They had that game in hand, was about to go to the finals. They had the best record that year.
Well, that's their fault. That's their fault. But yeah, I got you. I mean,
the year that they lost the finals, they was whooping LA's ass till Isaiah got hurt. So they could have had 4 rings. But the comp level, he beat the Sixers and the Celtics and then beat the Lakers? Nah, that's different. No, that's what I want Kendrick to do.
Yeah. But I mean, and the only reason that we're saying these things about Kendrick is because he is the one that talks this competitive stuff. Now, if he was on some humble shit like J. Cole, just living his life, and what I'm saying, wasn't talking about smoking on your top 5s like that, I wouldn't be saying any of these things.
Mike, heard on the album, he was talking like that too on Feel, Mike.
Yeah, to talk all this competitive stuff.
Mike,
and somehow,
he said on Feel, he felt like nobody was even close. It's like, okay. Come out here to Pusha T and Conway and Benny and Gibbs and come prove that.
He's been talking this. And see, the other part about that fact is we live in such a very collaborative, heavy scene in hip-hop right now. You don't even get on tracks with people where we could, say Mike, that this person killed you on the track or whatever.
Mike, after Good Kid, Mad City, and before To Pimp a Butterfly, so lyrically at his peak and in his prime, he's on My Name Is My Name right next to Pusha T, and he's not stunting on Pusha T at all. Pusha got the better verse to me, actually. So he's not untouchable like people be talking about. Pusha T's out rapping him on My Name Is My Name, which is right in between his 2 biggest and best albums. He can be had. I told you Jay Electronica technically has a better verse on Control lyrically.
A lot of people say that. Gray 8 says Gibbs wants Kendrick smoke. He does. People will call him for it.
Gibbs
and
wants the smoke. And I'm with that.
Because when people go out there and respond to it and say they want to smoke, Kendrick says nothing.
Mike, it's not a good look when you keep saying you better than everybody, and Drake's been in more battles than you have.
It's real.
That's real.
It's real life.
If you're this dude, hold on, that shit that you were saying on Control, walk out here and prove it. There's a crop of MCs out here waiting for you to prove that too. If you the best and you don't give a fuck who it is, then you need to be entertaining the smoke from Gibbs, and you need to make something better than Daytona and From a King to a God lyrically.
After Damn dropped, I said Kendrick is in the top 10, and he deserved it because of his catalog. Kendrick's no longer in my top 10.
Mike, I wrote an article for According to Hip Hop. It was one of our biggest traction articles where I said you have to put him in your top 10 now. But Mike, I was doing that under the estimation that he was on a track and on an arc that was about to continue. The arc is literally stopped for 5 years since I wrote that article.
Kendrick's no longer in the top 10 for me. Are you saying the same thing?
Mike, since that has happened, Pusha T has dropped Daytona. Mm-hmm. Jadakiss just had this whole Versus run. That's who I kind of had him ahead of. I can't clearly say in clear conscience he's ahead of them right now in my mind because I never thought he was a better MC than either one of them bar for bar to begin with.
Yeah.
I was giving him weight about the catalog.
Yeah. And then now if we start measuring the catalog by the individual songs and like, you know, I guess the hits in relation to his other counterparts, I don't even know how heavy that weighs in.
Like, how about this, Mike? Is there a record on Damn that's contagious like If You Know, You Know? Go prove it. If You Know, You Know is not the best record on Daytona. That's my whole point. Come out here and prove it.
Listen, man. If we
this
were to
rap,
sit
right?
here, if
Mike,
we
didn't we just see KRS-One and Big Daddy Kane? KRS-One, Big Daddy Kane, Cool G Rap, and Rakim was all dropping albums around each other.
I'll tell you this. If Pusha T and Kendrick did a versus, Kendrick's getting ran out the building.
He's getting ran. Oh, he getting ran.
Yeah.
Oh, he getting ran.
And that's just the truth.
He getting ran.
So, take it how you want it, man. I'm looking forward to it, man. We still have the new Pusha album to talk about. I know that's coming because Pusha's talking about it. And we know a Kendrick album's coming because he's on the Super Bowl lineup and there's no other reason for him to be there other than the fact that he got new music coming. So, either he's going to drop off that lineup or we're going to get a new K-Dot album pretty soon. A lot of people say that Kendrick Lamar is overrated. And, man, this is,
I think
I'm
we're
getting all
about to
kind of
find
stuff
out
in the
where
chat.
he's rated. That's why I want to hear this album so that we know how to rate him. Because Mike, when he said that smoking on your top 5 line, I'm like, I was thinking to myself, I was like, well, nigga, you're not smoking on my top 5 right now. Because my top 5 for the last 2-3 years are Gibbs, Benny, Conway, Pusha T, and Nas. You're not smoking on that. You're not smoking on my top 5.
Hey, man, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it. Well, man, we've been running for damn near like 2.5 hours, man. Great show.
Yeah, it's time to get
holler at y'all
Ghostface.
next week. Enjoy your Friday evening. Enjoy your weekend.
Oh.